Chapter 1, As You Wish, Let's Divorce. As you wish, let's get a divorce. The low and cold voice without a trace of warmth sounded in the quiet and luxurious presidential suite. Ming Yu was embarrassed, lying on the carpet in untidy clothes, and his slender and thick eyelashes slowly lifted, looking at the man in front of him. The man should have just come from an important occasion, wearing a pure handmade suit cut like a knife, meticulously ironed trousers wrapped around his too long legs, and a dark black coat on his shoulders, which makes him look cold, deep and arrogant. Further up, there is a perfect face that is handsome, sexy, and male. He lowered his eyes and looked at her coldly and disgusted. Ming Yu's forehead hit the corner of the bed, and he had a terrible headache. She frowned with a little confusion in her eyes. He lowered his head and glanced at himself. She was wearing a nightgown, and the belt was a little loose, revealing her snow-white skin. To be honest, she is a little confused now. She remembered that she seemed to be dead, but why did she appear here? Who is the handsome and cold man in front of you? Suddenly, some memories that didn't belong to her poured into her mind. Yes, she died and was reborn as a woman of the same name and age as her. 2 years ago, the Ming company encountered an economic crisis. The original Ming Yi was married by Mi's father to Guo Siting, the most unfavored fourth young master of the Guo family. Ming Yu was vain and arrogant. After marriage, he saw that Guo Suye was not valued by his family. He hated all kinds of demons and kept gossiping. He also cheated on Guo Suye. 3 months ago, she learned that Guo Siting had become the new person in power of the Guo family by cruel and strong means. At the incession of her own sister Ming Guan and her adulterous husband Xiao Yisheng, she wanted to divorce Guo Siting in order to obtain a high division of property. At first, Guo Siting ignored her, so she cried, made a fuss, and hanged herself, cutting her wrist and forcing herself to commit suicide. This time, it was even more exaggerated. He conspired with his adulterer Xiao Yisheng to invite Guo Siting to the hotel and quietly put medicine in the room, intending to take advantage of Guo Siting's confusion to send a woman to his bed. At that time, he will not only have to agree to divorce, but also divide her half of her property. She and her adulterous husband, Xiao Yisheng, observed the movement in the next room, but Xiao Yisheng didn't know what was crazy about and suddenly wanted to sleep with her. Although she didn't like Guo Siting and liked Xiao Yisheng during her marriage, she still had a bottom line and was unwilling to hand over herself before the divorce. He struggled with Xiao Yisheng to push the mulberry room, and the door was suddenly kicked open. Guo Siting came over with a gloomy face. Xiao Yisheng didn't know why the plan didn't succeed. He was so scared that he didn't even put on his clothes, so he jumped out of the window and left. Ming Yu was running away when he accidentally tripped over his foot, fell down, and his forehead hit the corner of the bed. When you are more conscious, you will become the current Ming Yu. The blood on his forehead slipped down his face, and Ming Yu tasted the bloody taste. But what is more chilling than blood is the man in front of him. His long and narrow black eyes were dyed with a layer of scarlet, and his whole body was cold. He couldn't wait to cut her up. In 2 years, you not only kept gossiping, but also kept dying in front of me. Ming Yu, do you really think that I dare not kill you because the old lady is protecting me? The man bent down and pinched his palm towards Ming Qi's slender neck like iron tongs. Ming Yu suddenly felt short of breath. What's the situation now? God let her live again, but she was reborn in such a dead woman. She just came back to life. Do you want her to die again? Chapter 2, What about the divorce agreement? I just need to sign it. There is a strong wind outside, and a storm is coming. Ming Yu looked at the man who strangled her neck and was so strong that she lifted her whole body. She said hoarsely, Mr. Guo, we have something to say. Mr. Guo, in the past, when I saw him, I would only call him by name and surname, or call him hello, but now I actually call him Mr. Guo. What kind of tricks does she want to play? Guo Siting looked into Ming Yu's deep eyes, becoming more and more disgusted and cold. He pinched the big palm on her neck, not only did not loosen, but also harder. It seems that she is really going to strangle her alive. The breath on the man's body is dark and dangerous, like an angry beast. Ming Yu knows it well. Now, he can't listen to reasoning with him. In other words, it is unbearable for a man to be cheated on by his wife and drugged to other women, let alone the dismaying Guo Suye in Tancheng. His neck was strangled by him, and he struggled to open it. She could only take a dangerous move, grabbed the collar of his coat with both hands, and suddenly moved forward with her little face. Accurately, I took a bite to the corners of his lips. Time, as if standing still at this moment. The man obviously didn't expect that Ming Yu would bite at him. Her lips are very soft, and there is a fragrance on her body. His body was tense, and the big palm pinching her neck loosened a little. In such a moment, Ming Yu escaped from his palm. Lack of oxygen, her face turned red and she couldn't stop coughing. The man reacted, and there was a black storm in his eyes, as if he was contaminated with the most disgusting thing in the world. He took out a handkerchief from his trouser pocket and rubbed it fiercely against the angular thin lips. Seeing his behavior, the corners of Ming Yu's mouth twitched. Is it so disgusting? Although there are continuous gossip and adulterous husbands outside, is she still innocent? Of course, maybe the man in front of him doesn't know about it. She didn't tell him his intention either. She didn't like the man who almost strangled her to death. Ming Yu sat by the bed and rubbed the neck that was strangled with red marks. Regardless of the man's cold eyes, he opened his mouth slightly manically. Since he was going to part ways, it would not be good for Mr. Gore to strangle me, would it? Where is the divorce agreement? Bring it and I'll just sign it. Gore Sighting looked at Ming Yu. In the faint, I felt that she seemed to be a little different. Obviously, he is still wearing an explosive head and wearing exaggerated heavy makeup, but it gives people a cold, stubborn and noble feeling. Seeing Gore Sighting staring at her, she licked the corner of her lower lip and smiled lazily. Mr. Gore would not repent, would he? Gore Sighting was drugged, and dark blue flames sprayed in his dark and narrow eyes. His expression is not as clear as usual. Breathing was also a little disordered and aggravated, but he tried his best to restrain himself. His hands hanging on his side clenched into fists, and his fingertips turned white. Ming Yu knew that what she and her adulter Xiao Yishen gave to Gore Sighting was the most medicinal medicine in the black market. Gore Sighting can endure until now, which is also an ordinary person. I will ask my assistant Lu Zhou to bring the divorce agreement to you tomorrow. Not wanting to stay with this disgusting woman for another second, Gore Sighting turned around and was ready to leave. Looking at the blood vessels on the back of his hand that were about to burst, Ming Yu sighed and said in a whisper voice, "Well, do you need me to help you relieve the effect of the medicine in your body?" Reborn in this deadly body, she didn't expect Tyrant Go to change his impression of her, but before the divorce, she still hoped that they would not make trouble with each other like enemies. The effect of the medicine in his body, if he doesn't look for a woman, he can relieve it by ringing a few acupuncture points with a silver needle. However, the man seemed to have misunderstood something. The handsome face overflowed with gloomy frost, and a deep disgust flashed through his narrow eyes. Ming Yu, you can be more disgusting in order to ask for money for divorce. Chapter 3, Ming Yu, do you fucking want to show your face? Gore Sighting's dark eyes glanced sharply and coldly at the collar of Ming Yu's clothes. Ming Yu lowered her head and saw that her neckline was exposed, and a large area of snow-white skin was exposed. She quickly tidied up the neckline and tied the strap of her nightgown. With a low cough, "You misunderstood, I'm not helping you with my body." Before she finished her words, the man's voice sounded, "Even if you took off your clothes, I was not interested at all." Ming Yu. The warriors can be killed, not humiliated. When did she get this kind of anger? She brushed the long hair on her cheek and walked towards the man with a smile. After moving his hand joints, he suddenly raised his long legs and kicked towards the man's chest. Gore Sighting, who was kicked back a few steps. Ming Yu moved very fast, almost in an electric stone. Gore Sighting came back to his senses, and his face changed several times, and his eyes were full of surprise, astonishment and disbelief. She seemed to be more arrogant and domineering than before, and her face was hateful. I thought she was cold and noble before, which must be his illusion. What surprised him even more was that she was so good at it. Gore Sighting sneered in his throat, "Ming Yu, you want to die?" Ming Yu clapped his hands and hooked his lips carelessly. Who is looking for death is not certain. With that, she attacked the man again. Gore Sighting raised his hand and grabbed her kicking leg. Ming Yu's body moved quickly, and his other leg attacked the most vulnerable part of his lower plate. Gore Sighting's handsome face instantly turned black into the bottom of the pot. This woman is so cruel and poisonous. If you let her kick this kick, he will be useless even if he is not disabled. He put the tip of his tongue against his cheek and raised his legs to hit her back. Whether she is a woman or his wife or not, anyway, this woman has long been unpleasant to her. Ming Yu didn't expect that Gore Sighting was not good at it. In Taomei, he should also be one of the best masters. In order to avoid being attacked by him, she hooked her hands around his neck and put her legs flexibly around his waist. The current posture. Ming Yu, do you fucking want to show your face? Ming Yu seemed to feel something. After all, the man who was drugged had long. Her ears were slightly red and she immediately jumped off him, but she didn't know what she had tripped under her feet, and her body fell down uncontrollably. When she fell, she subconsciously wanted to find support, and she pulled the man in front of her. As she fell, so did the men. Fortunately, there was a wide soft couch behind her, otherwise she would have spit out 2 mouthfuls of old blood if she had been pressed straight down by him. The two of them were close together, and their breathing was heavy and disordered. Each other's eyes are intertwined. She seems to be smiling but not smiling. He was furious. Ming Yu raised his hand and gently patted the man's tight and handsome face. "Mr. Go, how long will you be pressing on me? You don't want to wake up, do you?" For a moment, Gore Sighting really couldn't wait to strangle this woman. In order to divorce him, he not only drugged him, but also sent other women to his bed. He also opened a room with his adulterer next door. He exposed her evil deeds, and she not only didn't feel ashamed to repent, but also dared to attack him. Gore Sighting's lower jaw line was tight, and the scarlet in his deep eyes continued to deepen. He raised his hand and wanted to strangle the woman's neck again, but his body seemed to be uncontrollable. What's more, he wanted her to be his own antidote. Damn it. He would rather self-harm than touch this woman. Gore Sighting gritted his teeth and was about to get up. Just then, there was a sudden noise at the door of the suite. Chapter 4, After the Divorce, Promise Not to be Entangled. Several gossip reporters whispered at the door. It is rumored that Ming Yu is dating a man in this room. Although she is still an 18-tier star, it is said that Xiao Yisheng, a little fresh meat, is dating her. God, if you can take a picture of them together, it will definitely be a hot topic tomorrow. The corners of Ming Yu's mouth twitched. She looked at the man pressing on her. To be honest, her nominal husband was many times more handsome than Xiao Yisheng. As for Xiao Yisheng, the little fresh meat, the little white face is really not Mei's dish. Since God has let her live one more time, she can't let Ming Yu's reputation continue to rot. When Guo Sighting was about to get up and leave, Ming Yu hugged his thin waist. The little face was buried in his broad and strong chest. She smelled a clear, clean and extremely smelly fur. Ming Yu couldn't help but take 2 more breaths. TSK, it smells so good. Guo Sighting noticed Ming Yu's action, and his face was so gloomy that it could scratch a layer of frost. Ming Yu, don't challenge my patience anymore. In the face of the man's aggressive and oppressive eyes, Ming Yu was not afraid at all. She bit her lip and changed her previous nobility and coldness, becoming a little soft and weak. If you go out now and let the reporter see that we are in the same room, do you want to reveal my identity as Mrs. Guo? We are going to divorce. I don't want to be labeled as Guo Suye's ex-wife. Besides, Ming Yu glanced at his black trousers, and his voice became softer and more charming. Isn't it a little too obvious for you to go out like this? Guo Sighting's chest was slightly ups and downs, and the blue veins on his forehead jumped. For a few seconds, he really wanted to shoot the woman and let her shut up directly. In fact, I have nothing to do with my adulterer, Xiao Yisheng, except for a divorce. I'm not blind. How can he be as handsome as 1/3 of yours, and how can he be as tall and powerful as 1/4 of you? I keep dying, just because you are too cold and unattainable. I don't think I deserve you. After the divorce, I promise not to bother you again. Ming Yu used to play various roles when he took over tasks in Tangmen. Green tea and white lotus, enchanting queen, she can trust it. Guo Sighting looked at her expressionlessly, and his narrow eyes were so black that they could not seep into a little light. Looking at her gaze, it was deep and difficult to guess. This is definitely the most unthinkable man I have ever come into contact with. Mr. Guo, just help me this time. Don't let the reporter take pictures of me, okay? As soon as Ming Yu finished speaking, a group of reporters rushed in. A dazzling magnesium lamp kept flashing. The reporters were as excited as chicken blood when they saw the scene in the room. The breaking news is indeed true. Ming Yu and Xiao Yisheng really have a relationship. Some time ago, Xiao Yisheng said on the screen that there was no female ticket, but he actually got into bed with Ming Yu in private. Who is he looking for? Unexpectedly, he is looking for Ming Yu, who is famous as rotten eggs. Ming Yu is a bus in the circle, and Xiao Yisheng probably sleeps for one night and goes by. When the news comes out tomorrow, it is estimated that Ming Yu will be sprayed into a sieve by Xiao Yisheng's fans. The reporters held their cameras and walked to the bedside. When they were about to take photos, the man on the bed suddenly looked up and looked at them. Seeing the man's gloomy, cold and handsome face, everyone was stunned. Some reporters were so scared that the camera in their hands fell to the ground. Fourth master? Chapter 5, in the future, they have nothing to do with each other, and they don't look for you when they look for dogs. In Tancheng, no one dares to provoke Guo Suye, the newly appointed person in power of the Guo family. It is rumored that he is cold-blooded, cruel, irritable and gloomy, and those who offend him will not have a good end. Previously, a newspaper secretly took a picture of Guo Suye, but the newspaper went bankrupt the next day. The reporters didn't dare to see which woman he was holding in his arms, but it was definitely not the 18-tier star Ming Yu. After all, Guo Suye is not close to women. Even if he is an immortal, he will not look at him more. I heard that he has a habit of breaking his sleeves, and the assistants around him are all good-looking men. Guo Sighting's eyes swept towards them like a blade passing through. He spit out a cold word from his thin lips, "Get out." The reporters didn't dare to gasp, turned around and ran away in a panic. After the suite returned to quiet, Guo Sighting looked down at the woman in his arms. She buried her face in his coat, and could only see the messy hair on her head. She has gossiped with many men in the entertainment industry, and it is common for reporters to secretly take photos. She still cares about fame this time. Oh, what she cares about should not be fame, but she doesn't want to gossip with him. Fortunately, he has no other feelings for this woman except disgust and disgust. Guo Sighting stood up from Ming Yu with a frosty face. Thinking that she had buried her face in his coat before, he took off his coat and threw it on the bed with a disgusted face. After the divorce, I hope you won't appear in front of me again. The reporter left, and there was nothing left to ask for Guo Sighting. She leaned lazily on the bed and yawned. I don't know whether it was because her body hadn't fully adapted, or because her head was injured and she was uncomfortable, she actually felt sleepy. Ming Yu half squinted with a pair of beautiful downfall eyes. Is there property in divorce? As soon as she said something, the aura on the man suddenly became a little cold. His black eyes stared at her sharply. Do you still have the face to ask for money? Mingyu hook red lips. In the past 2 years, if you hadn't married such a waste as me and paralyzed the thoughts of the Gu family, I don't think you would have come to power so quickly. Guo Sighting raised his eyebrows. Oh. So, how much do you want? Mingyu stretched out a finger. 10 million? Did you send it to Huazhou? 10 billion. Although she is not short of money, her money is all in the Taoming account. For the time being, she doesn't want them to know that she is alive. Hearing Mingyu open his mouth for 10 billion, Guo Sighting laughed angrily. You really have the face to open your mouth. Guo Sighting walked to the bedside and patted Mingyu's face that had taken off his makeup and turned into a color plate. I didn't even give you food to the dog. Mingyu puffed up his cheeks, opened his mouth, and bit Guo Sighting's finger. She bit his finger to the blood. The tip of her tongue licked the corner of her lower lip, and she smiled like a fox. Well, we won't have anything to do with each other in the future, and I won't look for you again when I look for a dog. After Guo Sighting finished speaking, he turned to Mingyu, who was sleeping on his side. The outline of his handsome face was covered with a layer of terrible shadow. The woman didn't notice his terrible look at all. She was lying on her side, slightly lazy and casual, and her nightgown was close to her body, outlining her slim figure. I don't know if it was because of the effect of the medicine, but his reason was swallowed up little by little. Covered with a layer of scarlet black eyes, his vision had become blurred. Under such circumstances, the woman's delicate body and the fragrance on her body are expanding infinitely, destroying his desires. He suddenly had an impulse to put the woman under him. But the only trace of reason told him that if he touched this woman, he would regret it for the rest of his life. He gritted his teeth and left with a gloomy face. The door was closed, and the woman on the bed didn't move all the time. She slept quite soundly and soundly. Chapter 6. The divorce agreement was signed, and the next day, the fish's belly turned white. The woman on the bed, with long eyelashes like butterfly wings trembled, and a pair of beautiful and charming downfall eyes slowly opened. Looking at the ceiling above his head, there was a moment of chaos in Mingyu's mind. The soreness in her forehead and limbs reminded her that she seemed to be alive. She didn't cover herself with a quilt and held a man's black coat in her hand. She sniffed, and it was the smell she liked. Mingyu can't remember how long he hasn't had a good sleep. She is the dismayed snow fox of Taomen. I guess no one could have thought that the cause of her death was not an assassination for revenge, nor an accident, but that she didn't sleep for 7 days and 7 nights and died of insomnia. Mingyu has suffered from insomnia since he was a child, and his symptoms become more and more serious with age. The medicine has no effect on her body. He was only 21 years old when he finally died. Last night, she remembered that after quarreling with a man, she lay on the bed and fell asleep. Maybe it's because I changed my body, and my insomnia is cured. There was a trace of joy in Mingyu's eyes. Finally, I can get rid of the pain of insomnia. Rubbing her sore arm, she got out of bed. I was about to wash up when the doorbell rang. Mingyu opened the door with sleepy eyes. A handsome little brother in a white shirt stood at the door. The little brother looked at Mingyu and coughed softly. Madam, the fourth master asked me to bring you the divorce agreement. Oh, this little brother should be Lord Zhou, the assistant of Gu Tyrant. It looks much more gentle and friendly than a tyrant. Okay, let me have a look. Mingyu took over the divorce agreement, with a lazy smile on the corners of his lips. Do you want to come in and sit down? Lord Zhou Jinxiu's face suddenly showed a look of horrified. He waved his hand quickly. No, I still have work to do. After my wife signs, the lawyer will come and get it. Lord Zhou ran away as if he was running away. Mingyu touched his nose. He is so afraid of what she will do. Could it be that she will eat him? Some pictures appeared in my mind. In the past, Mingyu seemed to really like the handsome little white face. It is rumored that Lord Zhou is Go Tyrant's favorite. He is afraid of gossiping with her and causing Go Tyrant's dissatisfaction. Tyrant Go Seer and gentle little assistant, TSK, this pair of BLCP seems to be quite easy to beat. Mingyu took the divorce agreement back to the house, took a look, and signed on the last page. She went into the bathroom, stood in front of the mirror, and looked at the woman in the mirror. Well, the woman with an explosive head in the mirror and a face like a color plate is herself now. No wonder the tyrant last night didn't even look at him when he said that she took off her clothes. He really couldn't see this dignified face. Mingyu tied up his hair and began to remove his makeup. It took nearly 20 minutes to finally clean up the face. The skin is white, the facial features are exquisite, the face is bright, and a pair of slender and beautiful downfall eyes, as if it has its own hook, which is beautiful and touching. Mingyu raised his slender fingers and stroked the charming light-colored tear mole under the corner of his eyes. This face is exactly the same as her before, and even this tear mole is no different. There was doubt in Mingyu's eyes. Why are there such similar people? Does she have any connection with this specific body? Unfortunately, she was an orphan before her death. She had insomnia, and after her death, she was revenged by the enemy's family and burned. Otherwise, she will suspect that they are separated twins. Mingyu didn't worry too much about this matter. Does it matter? She will find out the truth in the future. Chapter 7. His reputation was ruined and he was swept out of the house by the fourth master. In the morning, Ming Yu left the hotel and went to the hair salon. Straighten an exaggerated explosion head and only slightly curled the tail of the hair. Changing into a t-shirt and jeans, the whole person looks much fresher. The mobile phone message keeps ringing. Ming Yu took it out and took a look lazily. Xiao Yixun has sent more than a dozen messages and made 7 or 8 phone calls. Li Yu, the situation was urgent last night. If I had been caught by your husband, we would not have been able to jump into the Yellow River. Can you forgive and understand me? I'm not leaving you alone, but for your own good. I was worried that you didn't sleep almost all night last night. Didn't your husband do anything to you? Has he agreed to divorce? You have to be sure that you have no feelings. He is cold and violent to you, and the divorce scores half of the property. Baby, why don't you answer the phone or reply to the message? I love you, and my love you is like an endless river. The sea withers and the rocks are rotten, the sky collapses and the earth, and the heart will never change. If you still love me, let's meet at the same place. Seeing this information, Ming Yu vomited. Such a vulgar and disgusting confession is really greasy and disgusting. Ming Yu planned to black people directly, but he changed his mind. She leaned lazily on the stone pillar at the door of the hair salon, and her fingertips quickly operated on the mobile phone screen. After a while, he wrote a link with code and sent it to Xiao Yixun's mobile phone. Xiao Yixun didn't know what Ming Yu sent. He clicked on the link doubtfully. There is an animation inside. An ugly man stood under the cherry tree to confess to a fairy, using the love words he had sent her messages before. The woman held the cherry tree and said lazily, "Don't think about eating swan meat." After saying that, he bent down and vomited. After watching the animation, Xiao Yixun's face turned pale. "Brother Yixun, how are you? You had an intimate relationship with my sister last night, right?" Xiao Yixun didn't know that the animation sent by Ming Yu contained viruses. As long as he clicks on the link, Ming Yu can listen remotely. Xiao Yixun turned around and looked at the woman who was walking towards him. Ming Guang had a first love face that every man liked. She was pure and beautiful. Her long black hair was soft and neatly draped over her shoulders. She was wearing a white dress. She looked weak and pitiful, which could greatly arouse the protective desire in a man's heart. Xiao Yixun is a lover of Ming Guang. He is willing to do anything for Ming Guang. Ming Guang wanted to marry Guo Siye, so he helped her deal with Ming Yu and let her be rejected by Guo Siye. Don't mention it. Last night, I wanted to put her to sleep with nausea, but her husband suddenly appeared, and I didn't succeed. Xiao Yixun didn't tell Ming Guang about the plan to find a woman for Guo sighting last night. She was afraid that Ming Yu would cause suspicion if he knew about it. After all, Ming Yu still doesn't know that Ming Guang wants to replace her and become Mrs. Guo. A trace of joy appeared on Ming Guang's soft little face. Did the fourth master pass last night? Usually, the whereabouts of the fourth master are mysterious, and it is difficult to see him, let alone provide him with information about his cheating. Last night, Xiao Yixun and Ming Yu had a date in the hotel. She called the reporter over and wanted to expose the news of Ming Yu and Xiao Yixun's affair, so that Guo Siye would know that Ming Yu was in the water and the waves were unbearable, so let him dump her early. She got up very early today to watch the news, but she didn't see the hot search of Ming Yu and Xiao Yixun, and quietly asked the agent to ask the reporter. As a result, the reporters were speechless and counted her agent, saying that she provided fake news. However, the reporter didn't take pictures of anything, but the fourth master saw it with his own eyes, which is great news for Ming Guang. Ming Yu is waiting for his reputation to be destroyed and swept out of the house by the fourth master. Chapter 8. Beautiful beauty. Just like that, Brother Yixun, no matter whether your sister can divide the property after divorce, when you need money, I will do my best to help you. Xiao Yixun is the illegitimate son of the Xiao family. He wants to buy the shares of the Xiao family. Fortunately, the Xiao family has a place. But the acquisition of shares requires a considerable amount of money, so he has to rely on part of the property obtained by Ming Yu's divorce. With the current value of Mr. Guo, Ming Yu's divorce should be divided into tens of billions. Xiao Yixun looked at Ming Guang, who was as tender as water, and said with spoiled eyes, Guang, I don't need your money. Your sister loves me deeply and wants to sleep with me in her dreams. When I make her wish come true, she will obediently give me the divorce money. Xiao Yixun is white and handsome, and has a creamy appearance. After entering the entertainment industry, he has gained a lot of fans with an ancient puppet drama. His face is really loved by girls. Hearing the conversation between Xiao Yixun and Ming Guang, Ming Yu put away his mobile phone and yawned lazily. Xiao Yixun's value is probably that face. She loves him so much that she dreams of sleeping with him, right? All right, then she will ruin that proud face. Ming Yu went to the flower market and then to the high-end shopping mall. She came to Zijin Park, where she and Xiao Yixun usually met. Xiao Yixun seemed to be sure that Ming Yu would come to the appointment. He was wearing a suit and had the hairstyle of a handsome man. Seeing Ming Yu, a handsome smile appeared on his handsome face. Yu, here you are. When Ming Yu approached and saw her appearance after removing her makeup, Xiao Yixun was slightly stunned. Ming Yu is undoubtedly brilliant and beautiful. A pair of d'enfant eyes, a beautiful nose, red diamond lips, and tear moles in the corners of her eyes, every inch of outline, every point, shows how beautiful she is. At first glance, it looks like a restless vixen. Xiao Yisheng was very unbearable when he heard that Ming Yu married Guo Siye. He had the title of boss in school and entertainment circles. For such a woman, Xiao Yisheng is quite shameless in his heart. But even if she has a bad reputation, as long as she doesn't wear heavy makeup and pretend to be ugly, there will be many suitors around her. Xiao Yisheng hasn't got her huge wealth after divorce yet, so naturally, she doesn't want to be too popular. So he encouraged her to pretend to be ugly. As the name implies, he loved her so much that he didn't want her to be too eye-catching and robbed by other men. Ming Yu has always listened to him, but after last night, she seemed to have some changes suppressing the displeasure from the bottom of her heart. Xiao Yisheng frowned slightly and said, Yu, why did you remove your makeup? Did you get your hair done? Ming Yu looked at Xiao Yisheng, who was pretending to be. His long hair was lifted with his fingertips, and his red lips evoked a careless smile. Isn't this good looking? It's not bad. I didn't tell you before that you are so beautiful that I'm afraid that other men will take you away. The smile on the corners of Ming Yu's lips deepened. You are so handsome that no other man can compare with you. Ming Yu took out a box with exquisite packaging and gave it to you. Xiao Yisheng looked down, and a touch of surprise appeared in his eyes. It turned out to be a limited edition Guxipuhan perfume. Ming Yu turned on the perfume and sprayed it on Xiao Yisheng. Do you like the smell? High-end spices are mixed with a faint floral fragrance, which smells very good. Xiao Yisheng looked at the woman in front of him. Her bright and charming face was full of a crimson smile, and the tear moles in the corners of her eyes became enchanting and charming under such a smile. Beautiful beauty, just like that. In fact, he can sleep with her for one night, and he won't lose anything. I don't know if the breeze blows the smell of perfume too much. Deception, or her lazy smile was too charming. Xiao Yisheng couldn't help reaching out and wanted to hold her in his arms and kiss her. Chapter 9, she still suffered from severe insomnia, but before she touched her, she stretched out her hand and pushed her away. She handed over the perfume to him, hoping that you would like the gift I gave you. I naturally like the things you gave me. Ming Yu shook his long hair, blew a blow, and walked lazily down the stairs. Why did you leave? I still have something to tell you. Xiao Yisheng wanted to chase Ming Yu, and just then, a buzzing sound sounded. A group of dense things flew towards Xiao Yisheng. When he got close, he saw clearly that it was a group of bees. Xiao Yisheng shouted, "Ah," and stretched out his hands to wave away the bees, but he couldn't wave them at all. Bees don't sting anyone, they only sting Xiao Yisheng. Xiao Yisheng panicked and ran around. But I can't avoid this group of bees. His face was stinged countless times, and finally, he fell to the ground in pain. He wanted to ask Ming Yu for help, but Ming Yu got into a sports car. Ming Yu put on sunglasses, and her face became more and more small and delicate. She lowered the window, and the breeze blew her long hair. She slowly turned her head and looked at him. The red lips are slightly hooked, and the whole body is as bright as fire. Before the sports car started, he saw that she raised her middle finger at him carelessly. Xiao Yisheng covered his swollen face and rolled on the ground in pain. He didn't know what the problem was. Why did the attitude towards him change dramatically? Ming Yu ignored Xiao Yisheng and stepped on the accelerator, and the sports car galloped away. Back to the hotel, she took a shower and planned to get a good night's sleep. Shoha is cold, arrogant, lazy, and scattered. When there is no task, he can stay at home for 10 days and half a month without going out. Later, her insomnia became more and more serious, and she was almost in the research room for 24 hours. Unfortunately, until he died, he had not found a drug to cure his insomnia. If she can live again, she will make up for the sleep she didn't get enough sleep before. Obviously, I was a little sleepy, but after lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. The pain of insomnia before death seems to be slowly surging up again. How could it be like this? Didn't she sleep until dawn last night? How can you still have insomnia? Maybe I slept enough last night and didn't sleep during the day. Ming Yu sat cross-legged on the bed, took out his mobile phone and logged into Shuhu's account. There are several unread emails in the mailbox. It was sent by 2 seniors of Tang sect, and there was also sent by that person. Thinking of that person, a touch of gloom flashed in his bright and beautiful eyes. The email prompt rang, and Ming Yu saw that his younger brother Jing Xing sent an email. "Senior sister, are you really dead? I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it, you must be alive." Ming Yu couldn't help laughing when he thought of the teasing junior. She replied to the email, "It's still alive, Jing Xing, shit, senior sister, did you cheat the corpse?" Ming Yu sent a phone number to Jing Xing. In a few seconds, Jing Xing made a phone call. Tangmen is based in Europe, and this is an ocean phone. Jing Xing is so excited. "Senior sister, what's going on? The S organization sent the video of your body being burned. The eldest brother was furious and cut off the heads of the leaders of the S organization, just to avenge you. Are you still alive?" Compared with Jing Xing's excitement, Ming Yu looks much calmer. She told him about her rebirth and told Jing Xing not to tell others about it. She doesn't want to go back to Talmen anymore. Senior sister, it's because the eldest brother is going to marry. Shut up, it has nothing to do with him. I just want to live a plain life now. Okay, I won't say anything, but can I sneak to the city of Country C to see you? Don't come for the time being. By the way, the newly appointed person in power of the Gu family in Country C seems to be looking for the dark web to collect your information. He wants you to treat his good brother's illness. I heard that the price is very high. The newly appointed person in power of the Gu family. Her nominal husband. She didn't have a good impression of the tyrant who almost strangled her to death last night, causing her neck to hurt now. Xiao Jing, the magic Dr. Fox is dead, isn't it? Jing Xing was stunned for a moment. Senior sister, do you still have insomnia? I hope you can live again and never die of insomnia again. You are so strong that the Taoists don't believe that you died of insomnia. Ming Yu. At night, Ming Yu ran 5 kilometers and returned to the hotel to do a series of sports. After taking a shower, she lay in bed and sleeping. Normally, it should be bed. But she tossed and turned, opened her eyes, and just couldn't sleep. Ming Yu knocked on the head, and his slender eyebrows tightened into a ball. God doesn't play with her like this, does he? Let her live again, or let her suffer from severe insomnia. He couldn't sleep well, and Ming Yu's whole body became quite manic. She waved the pillow and the telephone of the bedside table all to the ground. If it goes on like this, she will die again in 7 days. Just then, the doorbell rang. Chapter 10, The wife and the dog are not allowed to enter. The staff of the hotel room department is standing at the door. The staff is holding a clean black coat in their hands. Madam, when we were cleaning the room, we saw the clothes fall on the trash can, and we have cleaned them for you. The staff saw a trace of mania emerging between Ming Yu's eyebrows and opened his mouth carefully. Ming Yu looked at the coat in the staff's hand. She remembers throwing her coat into the trash can when she went out in the morning. At first glance, this black coat is a big name, high-end customization, and the price is high. Ming Yu took the coat and thanked the staff. She took the coat and went into the room. Staring at the coat for a few seconds, a crazy idea suddenly flashed in her mind, and she couldn't help opening her eyes wide. It probably won't be what she thought, will it? But last night she was buried in the man's arms and smelled the clear fur smell on him. At that time, she thought it smelled so good and had a kind of hypnotic effect. Not long after, she became sleepy. At that time, she thought it was because her head was injured and she couldn't adapt to her body. When she woke up in the morning, she was still holding a man's coat in her arms. The coat is stained with his breath. Is it because of the smell of the man that made her sleep until dawn last night? It's a pity that the coat has been washed, and she can't verify it immediately. If it is really because of the breath on the man, she can sleep peacefully, and she feels that she is not far from death. That tyrant Gore has a bad impression of her and hates her to the bone. How can he let her sleep in her arms every night? The most important thing is that she said harsh words last night, and she won't look for a dog in the future. Ming Yu doesn't want to be slapped in the face so soon. But she doesn't want to die because of insomnia again. Whether the man's breath can make her fall asleep, she has to be stubborn to verify it. According to the memory in his mind, Ming Yu drove to Gore Sighting's residence. Gore Sighting lives in Yuyan, the most expensive hillside villa in Tencheng City. There are people on duty at the gate of the villa 24 hours a day. Ming Yu drove over and thought that the staff on duty would let her go, but when one of the staff on duty saw her, she said coldly, "Madam, the fourth master has ordered that you and the dog are not allowed to enter." Ming Yu. He is the dog. His whole family is a dog. Bitch. If you don't let me in, Ming Yu will naturally not break in. She parked the car in the dark and looked at the wall of the villa. More than 2 meters high, a small case for her. I climbed over the wall and arrived at the back garden of the villa. Looking at the dogman's bedroom, she climbed up a big tree behind the yard, like a flexible cat, and went to the balcony of the bedroom. She quietly glanced into the bedroom and didn't see the dogman. There was a faint sound of dripping water in the bathroom. She should be taking a bath. Ming Yu's cat Waste walked in. On the wide soft couch, there is a white shirt, which should have been changed by the dogman before taking a bath. Ming Yu strode over, picked up his shirt, put it on the tip of his nose and smelled it. It was the clear and good smell she smelled last night. The pain in the temple seems to be relieved a little. Ming Yu looked at the bathroom and could vaguely see the tall and thin silhouette of the man. Broad shoulders and narrow waist, long legs against the sky. The hazy outline of the light has a strong smell of male hormones. Tell someone to spray nosebleeds. Although Ming Yu is not interested in him, he has to admit that he is the best among men. Withdrawing his eyes, Ming Yu planned to leave with his shirt. Just then, the sound of high heels buttoning to the ground came from the door. "Brother-in-law, are you there?" A delicate voice came over. Ming Yu squinted his eyes, and the moment Ming Guan pushed open the door, he got under the bed. She looked at the door and saw Ming Guan coming in wearing a thin suspender V-neck long skirt. After a while, the bathroom door was opened. The man who only tied a bath towel around his waist came out. Just after taking a shower, the soft short hair was still wet, and a few drops of water slowly slid down along his angular outline. His chest was wide, strong and textured. The six-pack abs were as clear as a barrier, and the mermaid line extending to the edge of the bath towel perfectly interpreted the beauty of men. Ming Guan's eyes suddenly looked straight. Chapter 11, What wife? He is gone now. Ming Guan's beautiful and soft face showed a shy look. Beiji bit his lip gently and seemed to stop wanting to speak. She naturally knows what kind of appearance attracts men the most. Generally, men can't help but be moved by her current appearance. But the man in front of him didn't even move his eyebrows. Cold as frost, why are you here? Ming Guan took a deep breath and told himself not to be discouraged. Guo Sighting's nature is like this, and he doesn't seem to be close to anyone. Ming Guan said softly, brother-in-law, I'm here to see my sister. Recently, my father heard some rumors about his sister's not good, and he was so angry that he fell ill. Ming Guan looked at Guo Sighting with long eyelashes trembling. His brother-in-law and sister's private life was chaotic outside, and his parents blamed himself for not taking good care of her. When Ming Yu was married to Guo Sighting by Ming Guan, he was the least favored in the Guo family. Neither Ming Guan nor Ming Guan expected that Guo Sighting would seize power in just 2 years. Now, he has become the dismaying Guo Suye of Country C, and he is very powerful. Ming Guan's intestines were almost remorseful. If she had married Guo Suye at that time, she would have been Mrs. Guo, who was envied by everyone. How can Ming Yu's straw bag be worthy of Guo Suye? Fortunately, Guo Suye is about to divorce Ming Yu, and she will definitely find a way to get married. She doesn't believe that Guo Suye will have no feelings for her. Ming Guan approached Guo Sighting a few steps, and the strong male hormone smell on his body made her heart beat faster uncontrollably. Brother-in-law, my parents said that when my sister goes back, she will definitely discipline her well. I hope you don't blame our Ming family. My sister grew up in the countryside since she was a child. When she was picked up by the Ming family, her character had already developed. Before Ming Guan finished her words, Guo Sighting opened his mouth coldly, but instead of talking to Ming Guan, but to the housekeeper loyal uncle standing outside. He said, did I order people who have not to do with each other not to let them in easily? Uncle Zhong wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Miss Ming is a wife's sister. I thought. What kind of wife? Yu Yan doesn't have a wife now. When Ming Guan heard that Guo Sighting was going to ask Uncle Zhong to drive her away, his face turned pale. Then he heard Guo Sighting say that Yu Yan had no wife, and he was happy again. As expected, the fourth master is going to divorce Ming Yu. Uncle Zhou walked to Ming Guan and made a gesture to ask her to leave. Miss Ming, let's go. Ming Guan looked at Guo Sighting's strong and sexy chest and distinct abdominal muscles. He didn't want to leave easily, even if he couldn't be Mrs. Guo now, if he could touch it. Ming Guan pretended to be unstable and fell towards Guo Sighting's chest. When Uncle Zhou saw this, a cold sweat came out again. Miss Ming, are you killing me? Ming Yu, who is lying under the bed, now looks like a melon-eating mass. She leaned sideways, her tender white hand supporting her face, and looked lazily at Ming Guan, who gave full play to the white lotus. TSK. I don't know if Guo Tyrant will be hooked. Her sister's face is shemmingly makeup. She looks pure and harmless, pitiful and adorable. She wears small suspenders on her body, whether to show it or not, which is fanciful. Ming Yu was looking up, and the back of his neck suddenly felt hot. It's like being licked by something, wet and sticky. Ming Yu quickly turned around. A snow-white Garfield with a round head was lying on her back, with 2 dark blue eyes, looking at her without blinking. Seeing her looking over, it stuck out its tongue and licked her face. The corners of Ming Yu's eyes twitched and almost slapped the cat away. Just then, a bang came. Ming Guan, who was about to pretend to accidentally fall into the man's arms, was pushed away by the man coldly and ruthlessly and fell to the ground. The soft eyes covered with water mist suddenly met Ming Yu under the bed. Chapter 12, In the world, feelings are the most impossible to force. Be quiet. Deadly quiet. After Ming Guan was pushed away by Guo Sighting without pity, she was ashamed in her heart. Unexpectedly, when she looked up, she saw Ming Yu under the bed. Her head turned quite fast. How could Ming Yu be here? And still hidden under the bed? Combined with Guo Sighting's expression, he obviously didn't know that Ming Yu was here. Ming Guo's gloomy eyes suddenly lit up. It doesn't matter if the fourth master doesn't like her now. When he divorces Ming Yu, she will have a chance to hook up with him. Ming Guan stood up from the ground tremblingly. She looked at the man who was about to enter the cloakroom and said in a soft voice, brother-in-law, sister, she is actually under your bed. The man's tall body stiffened. He turned around and swept under the bed. Knowing that he could no longer hide, he quickly put the man's shirt into his bag, hugged the little fat cat in her arms and refused to leave, and crawled out from under the bed. The moment he saw Ming Yu, Guo Sighting's handsome face became more gloomy and cold. He obviously hates Ming Yu more than his dislike for Ming Guan. The deep black eyes are like the sea with dark clouds, and the wind and rain are about to come. When the housekeeper Zhongbo saw Ming Yu, the corners of his eyes twitched, and cold sweat fell from his forehead. He didn't know at all when his wife came over. Uncle Zhong feels that he is not far from retirement. Ming Yu, who was caught, didn't feel nervous at all. She brushed her long dark hair on her cheek and smiled. She looked at me like this to do something. Isn't it strange that I appeared here? It is not surprising that Mrs. Go, who is in love with Mr. Go, appears here. The key point is that Ming Yu has not lived here since he got married, and his relationship with Go Xia has been in good swing. Ming Guan gritted his teeth in his heart when he saw Ming Yu's beautiful and charming appearance after removing his makeup and straightening his long hair. Ming Guan thinks she is not bad styling, and she also has the title of pure jade girl in the entertainment industry. But when she stood with Ming Yu, she not only couldn't suppress her, but also looked quite indifferent. At the beginning, it was her who secretly rubbed Xiao Yisha's approach. He was a little careful, and Ming Yu was moved by him and fell in love with him. Obviously, she promised Xiao Yisha, but she won't show her naked face in the future. Why will she change? Ming Guan knew that now was not the time to investigate whether Ming Yu was naked. She said delicately and softly, "Sister, what you are holding in your arms is a small snowball, right? Put it in quickly, or it will bite you." All the Go family know that the little snowball seems to be tame, but it is not tame at all. Except for Go Xia, whoever approaches it, it will blow its hair. Last time, in order to win the favor of Go Xia, Ming Guan wanted to please his beloved cat, but when he got close, he was scratched by it. Ming Yu looked at the little fat cat dozing in her arms and hooked her lips lazily. "Sister, if you have problems with your eyes, I suggest you go to the ophthalmologist. Meatballs are so loving, how can they bite people?" When Xiao Shixiu heard his new name, Meatball, he shouted meow in a milky voice to protest. But the next second, he was patted on the head by Ming Yu, and it obediently lay in her arms again. Ming Guan. Uncle Zhong. Ming Guan looked at Ming Yu, who was caressing his head carelessly, and faintly felt that Ming Yu was a little different from before. She can't tell what's different. But one thing, Ming Yu seems to be out of her control. Ming Guan bit his lip, turned around and said softly, "Sister, your parents are very worried when they hear that you insist on divorcing your brother-in-law. They usually say that you are also for your good. When you get divorced, they are still willing to accept you." Ming Guan said, and Cho Cho looked at Go Sighting pitifully. "Brother-in-law, don't blame your sister. In this world, feelings are the most impossible to force." Go Sighting didn't say anything. He squeezed tightly. With his cold lips, he glanced at the little snowball that usually don't get close to strangers. Seeing that it was obediently nestled in Ming Yu's arms, he almost frowned invisibly. Chapter 13, Did she say she wanted a divorce? Looking at the tea like Ming Guan in the tea, Ming Yu was a little funny. She held the cat in her arms and lay on the wide soft couch. The eyebrows are slightly raised, and the beautiful eyes turn gently. Without too many expressions, it is already romantic. "What did my sister say? Did I say that I wanted a divorce?" Ming Guan was stunned and then said, "Sister, you have been making a fuss about a divorce 2 days ago, and you also said that you have a beloved man. If your brother-in-law doesn't agree, you will elope with him." As soon as Ming Guan said something, the temperature in the room suddenly became a little colder. Even if Go Sighting doesn't like Ming Yu, she openly cuckolds him, which is unbearable for any man. Thinking of the scene of him catching adultery in bed last night, his face was so gloomy that he could scratch a layer of frost. Looking at the woman lying lazily on his bed, he uttered a word in a stern voice, "Get out." He rolled his eyes openly and secretly. No wonder Ming Yu didn't like this husband before. It was too cold. However, Ming Yu doesn't mind. If he can really cure her insomnia, it doesn't matter if she is a little wronged. Ming Yu cast a charming look at Go Sighting, his red lips gently hooked, and his smile was enchanting and sad. "Husband, my sister seemed to understand the relationship between husband and wife." After saying that, Ming Yu looked at Ming Guan. "I was a little awkward with my husband. Who let him focus on his work and ignore me? I deliberately found a man to make him angry, but in my heart, my husband is handsome, tall and upright, and rich. How can the little weak chicken surnamed Xiao compare with him?" Ming Guan. Zhongbo. Go Sighting. Who is the woman who said before that she didn't look for his dog? Ming Yu yawned lazily, with a trace of sleepiness in his beautiful eyes, and his long hair fell out. His lazy and careless appearance was seductive without knowing it, not to mention how charming he was. Uncle Zhong didn't dare to look at her more. "Why did you see your wife this time and find that she seemed to have changed? I didn't find her so beautiful before." Ming Guan bit his back teeth. "I cursed Ming Yu crazily in my heart. Vixen, bitch, straw bag. Does she think that she can fascinate the fourth master with her beauty? The fourth master won't like a superficial, brainless woman like her." Ming Yu didn't give Ming Guan a chance to talk. She got up from the bed and said in a faint voice, "Sister, how long will you stay in my bedroom with my husband? Does your brother-in-law have a good figure?" Ming Guan blushed. "You can't look at it too much even if it's good looking. After all, he belongs to your sister. Do you know how to avoid suspicion?" Ming Yu put the long hair blocking her cheek behind her snow-white ear. She ordered Uncle Zhong, the housekeeper, to see off the guests. Obviously, it was not a harsh word, but the aura on her body seemed to change suddenly. An irresistible kind of solemnity and fierceness. Zhongbo directly pulled Ming Guang, who refused to leave, out of the room. Anyway, the matter between husband and wife should be solved by themselves. After Ming Guang and Uncle Zhong left, the bedroom was quiet again. Even the little snowball in Ming Yi's arms found something wrong. It opened its round eyes and looked at the handsome and cold face of the male protagonist. Its hairy head drilled into Ming Yi's arms. Little snowball, go to bed. The little snowball meowed in protest. Guo Sighting walked towards Ming Yi. When Xiao Shijiu saw this, she got out of Ming Yi's arms as if she was running for her life and slipped away quickly. Ming Yi. Cats are afraid of him. He is worthy of being a tyrant. If it weren't for his request, she would also want to escape now. Chapter 14, there is a chance to get close to that dog man. Ming Yu really doesn't want to experience the pain of being tortured to death because of insomnia again. The feeling of powerlessness and life is not as good as death. In Retool, it is still a bone-piercing feeling. It was like someone holding a sharp knife and stabbing into her body little by little, and blood slowly gushed out. It's not a smooth and straightforward way, but a torment of survival and death. Compared with that kind of torture, this man's bad temper, I think she can bear it. But things don't seem to be as simple as she thought. The man's disgust with Ming Yi has reached its peak. He walked to her and pinched her jaw with his big palm, as if he was looking at a disgusting object. Ming Yu, I said, don't challenge my patience and bottom line again. Sign the divorce agreement obediently. Don't play tricks anymore. He pinched his big palm on her jaw with great force, as if he was going to crush her bones. Ming Yu endured the impulse to kick him away, and Ming Yan's face had a smile. It was a misunderstanding before. I promised to be safe in the future and be your wife Guo. Before she finished speaking, she was pushed away by the man. She took a few steps back unsteadily, and the back of her head hit the hard wall, making a crisp sound. Ming Yu was hit and his eyes were covered with Venus. This dog is a man. She clenched her hands into fists, and her knuckles were ringing slightly. What should I do? I really want to beat someone. Took a deep breath, she told herself, endure, must endure. Seeing the man turn around and walk towards the cloakroom, she walked quickly behind him. Boldly, he hooked his hand. Guo Sighting was stunned. He turned around and looked at the hand that was holding his hand. White, tender and slender, flawless, like the tip of a green onion, but wrapped in a trace of coldness. A strange feeling flashed through Guo Sighting's heart. It doesn't seem to be as disgusted as I imagined. But soon, he rudely shook off her hand. He was quite strong. Ming Yu was thrown away by him, and his feet were unstable. Seeing that she was about to fall, she subconsciously reached out to him. The fingertips accidentally hooked the bath towel around his waist. As she staggered back, the bath towel also fell from his waist to her hand. When girls see this scene, they will scream shyly or cover their eyes and don't open their faces. But Ming Yu didn't. She still looked at his abdomen calmly. He put on his underwear. But it's also quite heart-pounding. The next second, the bath towel returned to the man's waist. Ming Yu raised his hands. Sorry, I didn't mean it. You don't have to worry. Men with bad figures will mind. You have a good figure. It's not only good. If you are a woman, you may also have nosebleeds. Guo Sighting's face was so gloomy that it could scratch a layer of frost. This woman was really shameless. I don't know how many men were so calm when they saw them without clothes. It took Guo Sighting 8 lifetimes to marry her. If you don't want to stay with her for another second, he said coldly, if you don't get out, I'll let you come in and out horizontally. After saying that, he entered the cloakroom, and the door was slammed. Ming Qi's straight shoulders drooped slightly. With the current level of Guo Tyrant's disgust with her, she wants to stay with him. It's as difficult as going to heaven. Ming Yu looked at the closed door of the cloakroom. Damn soul, the last one who dared to do this to her has been made up by her. If it weren't for the request for him, she really thought forget it, people under the roof, they have to bow their heads, and they'd better think of another way. Ming Yu left with some mourning. When I was going down the stairs, I heard a servant talking to Uncle Zhong, housekeeper, my mother is sick and needs me to take care of her. I want to ask for at least half a year of leave. If it doesn't work, I can only resign. The person talking to Uncle Zhong is the storage and organizer of Yu Yun, who specializes in sorting out Guo Sighting's clothes. Several organizers have been changed before, and Guo Sighting was not satisfied. He was finally satisfied with this one, but he had to leave again. I grant you a leave, but during your vacation, someone has to take over your position. Do you know a storage and organizer who is about the same level as you? Let me help you pay attention to it. If you have any, please introduce it to me. When Ming Yu heard the conversation between the two, his beautiful eyes narrowed. An idea quietly came to her mind. Oh, I have a chance to get close to that dog man. Ming Yu walked out of the villa in a good mood, but as soon as she went out, a fierce slap was thrown at her face. Chapter 15, in the future, my husband's idea, I advise you to fight less. Ming Yu is quick-witted and grabbed Ming Guo's wrist. She was not light or heavy, but she made Ming Guo unable to break free. Ming Yu raised his eyebrows. Why, he couldn't seduce his brother-in-law and became angry. Ming Guo was stunned. I don't know if it's her illusion, but the straw bag seems to have changed a core. Sister, I'm educating you for your parents. Your parents already know that you cheated on your brother-in-law outside. Ming Guan seemed to be thinking about Ming Yu. I will slap you. When you go back with me, your parents will see that you have been beaten. Maybe your anger will subside, and you will no longer be scolded by your parents. TSK, listen. Slap her in the face and make her thank her in return. No wonder Ming Yu in the past was fooled by Ming Guan. This white lotus can be turned into black into white. Ming Yu sneered and slapped Ming Guan in the face with his backhand. A crackling sound sounded in the silent air. Ming Guan, who was beaten to the point of buzzing in his ears and his cheeks were hot and painful, was stunned for a few seconds. She opened her eyes wide and looked at Ming Yu in disbelief. How dare this straw man hit her? Ming Guan was about to say something when he heard Ming Yu's careless words. When you go back and tell your parents that you failed to seduce your brother-in-law, you were slapped by your sister. I believe they will love you more. Hurry up and let me divorce Guo Sighting, so that I can send you into the door of the Guo family. Ming Guan. Ming Yu actually knew that she wanted to replace her and become Mrs. Guo. Ming Guan bit his lower lip hard and suppressed the impulse to tear Ming Yu in his heart. Under the cold eyes, she said softly and weakly, Sister, you misunderstood. In fact, I'm also for your good. You hate me so much. Husband, if you are determined to divorce him, you will definitely annoy the old lady of the Guo family at that time. After all, you are her designated granddaughter-in-law. Our Ming family can only be regarded as a small rich family in Tangcheng, and we will rely on the Guo family in the future. If you and your brother-in-law get divorced, if I can get married, it can ease the relationship between our two families, and the old lady won't blame you. Sister, I know you love brother Yishan very much. Don't worry, I will help you. Ming Yu seems to be smiling. Sister, I suddenly found that my husband is better than Xiao Yishan, and I don't plan to leave him. Sister, are you kidding me? Ming Yu was brushed behind his ears by the dark silk blown by the night wind, and Ming Yu's little face became cold in an instant. All right, they are all 1,000-year-old foxes. Why chat with me? Ming Guan didn't expect that Ming Yu, who was determined to divorce Guo Sighting, suddenly changed her mind. While she was caught off guard, she was also a little angry. Did this straw bag finally find that Guo Sia's was good? Even if she finds out, Guo Xia won't look at her more. Don't even look at how bad her reputation is. Sister, did brother Yisheng not do a good job, which made you sad? Don't worry, if he is sorry for you, I will definitely say it well. Ming Yu raised his eyebrows. What does you have to do with Xiao Yisheng? Why does he listen to you? He is my senior in high school, and I am his go-sister. Ming Yu didn't want to talk so much with Ming Guan. She bowed her head slightly and whispered in Ming Guan's ear, don't be clever in front of me anymore. I don't care whether you are Xiao Yishan's sister or sister. Anyway, I advise you to fight less with my husband's idea in the future. Ming Yu patted Ming Guan's soft little face, otherwise. Ming Yu made a gesture of wiping his neck with a smile. Ming Guan was stunned. Chapter 16, the wife was dissatisfied with the division of property. Ming Guan looked at the delicate-looking woman in front of her. Obviously, there was a smile on her face, and even the tear moles in the corners of her eyes were full of charm, but in her beautiful autumn water-like eyes, there was a murderous aura. The murderous spirit is cold and deteriorating, and makes people shiver. Ming Guan blinked and then looked at Ming Yu. The murderous aura in her eyes has disappeared. Even Ming Guan himself didn't know whether he had just seen it wrong, or did Ming Yu really have such a powerful aura. Ming Yu stepped on high heels and left. Ming Guan looked at her back, and his gums were about to break. She must have read it wrong. Ming Yu was kidnapped and sold to the countryside by human traffickers at a very young age, and was not found back by the Ming family until he was 12 years old. Except for her beauty, she is not as good as her. She studied abroad in Mingguan and became a popular star after returning to China. There are also well-known designers and translators with all kinds of talents. Ming Yu and her are not on the same level at all. But Ming Yu's attitude tonight is really abnormal. Is it because she wore too little and deliberately went to the Imperial Garden to find Guxia, which aroused Ming Yu's suspicion? Ming Guan frowned, took out his mobile phone and called Xiao Yishan. The phone rang a few times and it was connected. Hearing what happened to Xiao Yishan, Ming Guan opened his eyes wide. Your sister is a bitch. She deliberately sprayed perfume on me to attract bees, which almost disfigured my face. Although it has not been disfigured, it will take at least 3 months to recover, which is a great loss for a traffic star. When I get her divorce property, I must make her pay a heavy price. No, I have an idea to control her in my hand. Xiao Yishan said his idea. After listening, Ming Guan pretended to say, Brother Yishan, that's not good, is that? Guanwan, you are so kind. Your sister is so vicious. I must punish her this time. Hiss. My face still hurts. Guan, I won't tell you for now. Ming Yu returned to the hotel and couldn't wait to take out the shirt she had stolen from her bag. Put it on the tip of your nose and smell it. There is a faint woody fragrance in the clear, and the smell of fur is very good. Ming Yu lay on the bed, buried his face in the man's shirt, and took a few deep breaths. The swelling and pain of the temple has been relieved a lot. Slowly, she went to sleep. Yu Yan. Guo Sighting came out of the cloakroom and put on a dark blue nightgown. He glanced at the edge of the bed and thought of the woman lying on it. He said coldly and changed the sheets. In addition, the bed was disinfected, and the little snowball took a shower again. Uncle Zhou sighed in his heart. The fourth master has been disgusted with his wife to this extent. All the places and things she has touched should be cleaned and disinfected. However, it is no wonder that the fourth master hates her. Since the wife married the fourth master, she has been so dead. After Guo Sighting gave the order, he went to the study. He called Lord Zhou. Did she sign? Lord Zhou said respectfully that the lawyer had not received the divorce agreement signed by his wife. Guo Sighting walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, holding his mobile phone in one hand and a cigarette in the other hand. He took a puff, and his thin lips slowly spit out a smoke ring. Under the smoke, his dark eyes were deep and taboo. His tall and straight body is outlined on the floor-to-ceiling window, and his whole body is full of a noble, cold breath. Why haven't you signed it yet? Can't you wait to divorce him? It happened that the old lady went to the capital to visit her relatives and was not in Tancheng to sign a divorce. Isn't it true for her wish to have no to do with each other in the future? Lord Zhou was silent on the other end of the phone, and his breath was a little unstable, obviously too nervous. Fourth master. The lawyer said that the wife was dissatisfied with the division of property. Hearing the words, Guo Sighting's handsome face suddenly sank. That greedy woman. Chapter 17, appearing beside him in another capacity, the woman kept killing. He didn't kill her directly, which was particularly grateful. What's more, in the divorce agreement, he also symbolically gave her 100 million yuan. What else is she not satisfied with? Does she really want to divide tens of billions? It's so delusional. Guo Sighting endured the impulse to smash his mobile phone to the ground and said with a cold face, how much did she mention to the lawyer? 100 billion. Guo Sighting. Even if Lord Zhou can't see Guo Sighting, he can still feel how dark his face is now. He was also extremely surprised when he heard the lawyer say this to him in the afternoon. To be honest, my wife's appetite is too big. 100 billion, how did she say it? Doesn't she know how big a green straw hat she put on the fourth master? Alas. Lord Zhou didn't know how to comfort the fourth master. As a powerful big family, it's quite bad to be forced to marry such a wife. Ask the lawyer to tell her that if she wants Ming coin, I will consider burning it for her. Lord Zhou hung up the phone. Guo Sighting looked at the fingertips that had been bitten by Ming Yu and knotted the shell. That woman is not only greedy, but also sharp and domineering. The next day, Ming Yu was awakened by a buzzing vibration of his mobile phone. Instead of answering the phone immediately, she stretched out lazily. It's really beautiful to have a sleepless night. People are also refreshed. Ming Yu looked at the shirt she was holding in her arms, picked it up and smelled it a few times. The mobile phone kept vibrating. Ming Yu picked it up and took a look. Zhou Yang, the lawyer of Guo Tyrant, called here. Mrs. Guo. Ming Yu leaned against the head of the bed, and his beautiful eyes drooped slightly. Lawyer Zhou, what's the matter? Mrs. Guo, the fourth master, did not agree to pay the 100 billion yuan divorce fee. I advise Mrs. Guo to take it as soon as she sees it. Don't to annoy the fourth master. Ming Yu doesn't really want Guo Tyrant's 100 billion. It's just that now she has a request for him, and she doesn't want to break the marital relationship between them so quickly. He is now determined to divorce her, and she has to drag Mrs. Guo back to Tancheng. What else did he say? Zhou Yang paused and forwarded the words brought to him by Lord Zhou to Mei Yu. The fourth master said that he wanted the Ming coin, and he could burn it for you. Zhou Yan thought that Ming Yu would be angry when she heard. She was not only not angry, but also hummed softly. He can burn whatever he wants. The original Ming Yu is no longer there. He burned the Ming coin for her. She should be able to receive it. Zhou Yan. Did he misunderstand? Mrs. Guo, who had always wanted to divorce before, doesn't want to divorce now. In the morning, Zhou Yan came to see Ming Yu in person again. Ming Yu was a little annoyed and impatient. She didn't want to sign. Did the tyrant send a lawyer to disturb her every day? In the afternoon, Ming Yu changed his residence again. She didn't go back to Mei's house and didn't stay in a hotel anymore. She rented a small yard in the suburbs. With the current level of Guo tyrants discussed with her, it is unlikely that she wants to stay with him every day. If you go to interview the organizer of Yuyan in your current appearance, you will probably be kicked out before you enter. Ming Yu's thin white fingers supported his head and pondered for a moment. The beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. I have it. Isn't it enough for her to change her appearance? In the past, when she wanted to play Bailian green tea in Taomen, her enchanting appearance was not good. Usually, she would change her makeup. It is not difficult for Ming Yu to change his makeup into another look. She locked herself in the small yard and played for a while, and her cold and bright face turned into an ordinary one. She appeared in the imperial garden like this, which should not arouse the suspicion of the tyrant, right? Chapter 18, he raised his dark eyes and looked at her. The royal garden was located in the most favorable position halfway up the east of the city, with an inch of land and an inch of gold. When he came over that night, Ming Yu didn't take a closer look. This time she sat in the taxi and looked out of the car window, with a view of the beautiful scenery on both sides of the road. The car slowly approached the villa, first passing a large area of well-groomed green belt, and then moving forward, the vision suddenly opened up. A 3-story modern villa is like a fairyland castle standing outside the green world. The villa covers an area of thousands of square meters, with swimming pools, artificial lakes, gardens, aprons, etc. Luxurious and misty. After Ming Yu told the staff on duty at the gate that he came to interview the storage and organizer, the staff on duty informed the housekeeper Zhongbo. Uncle Zhong asked Ming Yu to register and enter the villa. There are more than a dozen people who came to interview the organizer. After reading their resumes, Uncle Zhong took them to a room full of clothes. Each interviewer organizes in front of Uncle Zhong in turn. Finally, 3 people were elected. Ming Yu became one of the 3 elected people. Uncle Zhong is most satisfied with Ming's performance. The little girl is quiet, polite. After entering the villa, she did not look around. She was not spoiled and humiliated. She was calm and composed, which was very suitable for working here. However, there is still the last level. Uncle Zhong took 3 people to the second bedroom. After all, he had to go to Guo Xie's room. Except for Ming Yu, the other 2 girls were a little nervous and excited. Uncle Zhong knocked on the door. After getting the consent of the man inside, he pushed the door open. The tall and cold man sat on the single sofa in the master bedroom, with his slender legs elegantly overlapping, holding a document in one hand and a cigarette in the other. In the smoke, the outline became more and more handsome and deep and sexy. There is a snow-white fat cat lying on his lap. Uncle Zhong came in with several people. He just raised his eyelids slightly and looked very difficult to approach. The 2 girls who were a little excited before turned into nervousness and panic when they saw his cold eyes. The collector has to go to the 4th master's bedroom to work and tidy up, and this is usually the place where Xiao Xiqiu likes to stay. Only those who Xiao Xiqiu likes can stay. Uncle Zhong looked at the 3 people. In order to prevent you from being caught by the little snowball, please change your protective clothing first. Ming Yu looked at the little fat cat on the man's lap. TSK, I didn't expect meatballs to have such a high status in the Imperial Garden. She didn't change into protective clothing like the other 2. When Uncle Zhong saw this, he frowned. Guo Fuzhen, Xiao Xiqiu is more fierce to strangers. Are you sure you don't wear protective clothing? Ming Yu was stunned for a moment. When she realized that the name on her resume was Guo Fuzhen, she nodded and didn't need to change it. If the meatball dares to catch her, she will stew it tomorrow and drink it. After changing into protective clothing, the other 2 people came forward one by one and wanted to hold the little snowball in their arms. Without waiting for them to approach, the little snowball gritted its teeth at them and made a humping sound of resistance. One of the girls really wanted to get the job. Regardless of the fierceness of the little snowball, she stretched out her arm and wanted to forcibly hold it into her arms. As a result, as soon as she touched it, she was caught hard. Fortunately, I wore protective clothing, otherwise my arm would definitely be injured. Uncle Zhong sighed. You 2 have been eliminated. Both girls are quite depressed and lost. Uncle Zhong looked at Ming Yu and it was your turn. Ming Yu looked at it and jumped on the back of the sofa. His blue eyes stared at her meatball fiercely. He walked over, stretched out his hand to it, and said in a low voice, "Come here." The man reading the document heard the woman's lightness, as if there was a hint of commanding tone. He raised his dark eyes and looked at her. Chapter 19, Have you 4 masters been abandoned by women before? Dark yellow skin, light grey eyes, a thick layer of bangs in front of the forehead, and a small face is ordinary. She is slender and tall, wearing a white t-shirt and jeans. The figure is a bit similar to that woman. Realizing that he actually thought of that woman, Guo Sighting was in a trance for a few seconds. When he came back to his senses, the little snowball had reached the woman who was interviewing the collector. After the little snowball rushed into Ming Yu's arms, he came to her and smelled her body. Ming Yu saw it smelling around and slapped it on the top of its head. The familiar slap. The little snowball opened its round eyes and meowed at Ming Yu. When Uncle Zhong saw the little snowball obediently nestled into Ming Yu's arms, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. Has Xiao Shixiu's temper become better recently? Last time it was hugged by his wife, and this time it was hugged by Guo Fuzhen. Guo Sighting put down the documents, tapped the back of the sofa with his slender fingers, and showed me his resume. Uncle Zhong quickly replaced his resume. Guo Sighting looked at the name on his resume. Guo Fuzhen. What is the surname Guo? Why does the name look a little strange? Guo Sighting had no time and energy to waste on such a small thing. He said indifferently that if there was no problem after verification, he could be hired. Uncle Zhong nodded. Out of the master bedroom, Uncle Zhong handed in Ming Yu's working hours. If you want to organize and store, you should take advantage of the time when the 4th master is not in the room. Ming Yu nodded. Some of the clothes of the fourth master are brought to be washed by the dry cleaner's staff. Usually, the clothes are washed by the loyal sister-in-law, and the loyal sister-in-law will bring them to you when the clothes are dry. Ming Yu looked at Uncle Zhong and asked me to wash the clothes that the fourth master would wash every day in the future. Uncle Zhong. Don't worry, I just need a salary. Uncle Zhong, sister-in-law Zhong is old. She has to cook and clean up clothes every day. Don't let her worry anymore. You are her husband. Don't just think about the fourth master, but also think about your own wife. The imperial garden is very large. In addition to the part-time trade union who comes to clean every week, there are usually only loyal uncle and sister-in-law, and there are 3 servants who collect and organize. Because the fourth master is cold and arrogant, he doesn't like too many outsiders at home. Uncle Zhou saw that Ming Yu was so diligent, and he had a better impression of her. He pointed to the 3rd floor. Don't go to the 3rd floor at ordinary times. Even if you go, don't go to the last room at the end of the corridor, which is the taboo of the fourth master. When I heard it, I was interested. Did the beloved woman of the fourth master live there? Uncle Zhong. Have you been emotionally hurt and abandoned by women before you married Ming Yu? Uncle Zhong coughed. Go Fuzhen, you should remember that here, don't ask if you shouldn't ask, otherwise your job will not be guaranteed, and I can't help you. Ming Yu didn't get to the bottom of it. In her experience, Go Tyrant is irritable, indifferent, and unfriendly. She must have had some unknown experiences before. However, she didn't have the heart to explore. The most important thing now is to find a way to stay with him and cure her insomnia as soon as possible. Uncle Zhong asked his sister-in-law to take Ming Yu to the maid's room. Of course, the maid's room in Yuyang is not much worse. It is more than 10 square meters, fully furnished, and there is also a separate bathroom. From now on, she will officially become a 3rd-class citizen here. After putting the luggage away, Ming Yu took out his mobile phone and took a look. As soon as the power is turned on, good guy, there are a lot of unresecuted calls in it. Before she could see who was calling, a phone call came in with the note that it was Mrs. Ming. As soon as Ming was connected, Mrs. Ming's unpleasant reprimand came from the other end. Now, your wings are hard. And you dare to hit your sister, right? Come back now and kneel down and apologize to your sister. Chapter 20, the pain spreading from the bottom of my heart. Ming Yu sat cross-legged on the bed, and the whole person looked a little lazy and scattered. She yawned and said in a cold voice. She provoked my relationship with my husband and tried to seduce my brother-in-law. Shouldn't I hit him? There was an aggrieved and choking voice on the other end of the phone. Sister, it was you who said that your marriage with the fourth master was unhappy. When facing him, life is better than death. I was kind to help you. Why do you blame me? Besides, you and brother Yisha's affair have been caught by your brother-in-law. If you stay with him, don't you want to completely anger him? My parents are determined to develop the Ming family. If our Ming family really has a bad relationship with the fourth master, can our Ming family still hang out in Tanchum in the future? Sister, I'm really thinking about you and the Ming family. Ming Yu didn't have time to say anything. Ming's mother, Jiang Biyin's unhappy voice sounded again. Ming Yu, in the past, my father and I were so arrogant that you were used to you and developed your lawless nature. You are infamous and have a great impact on the Ming family. We didn't dislike you and married you to the Guo family. If you want to involve the Ming family now, I absolutely don't agree. Your sister's reputation and talent are above you in all aspects. Only by letting her replace you and marry the fourth master can calm the anger of the fourth master. Ming Yu Zhen has never seen such an eccentric parent. At the beginning, Ming Ye was found by the Ming family. Except for Mrs. Ming, who really felt sorry for her. As parents, did Jiang Biying and Ming Guan teach her the correct 3 views in addition to making her spend a lot of money? After condoning her to the point of being lawless and arrogant, he married her to the most unfavored Guo Suye of the Guo family. Besides, marrying Si Guo is also strongly requested by Mrs. Guo, otherwise, she will be married to an old man in his 50s by them. Ming Yu is in Tangmen, although he has no body. She has been loved by her parents, but has her master and brother who love her. She has grown up in a loving family since she was a child. But what's wrong with the original body? Ming Yu's heart couldn't help spreading a trace of fine and dense pain. Ming Yu, did you hear what I said? Come back and apologize to your sister, and then give up Mrs. Guo's position to her. Otherwise, don't blame me and your father for not recognizing you. Ming Yu closed his eyes and relieved the pain and suffocation. He sneered. He had never seen a person wrapped around his little feet, but he had never seen anyone wrapped around his cerebellum. Thank you, Mrs. Ming, for letting me see it. Without waiting for Jiang Biying to say anything, Ming Yu hung up the phone first and blocked the phone number. Ming family. The amplification played by Jiang Biying's mobile phone, Ming Yu's words also fell into Ming Wei's ears. Jiang Biying looked at the phone that had been hung up and called again, but he couldn't get through. She was so angry that her chest kept rising and falling. What does she mean? Ming Guan looked at his mother with a pale face, lowered his eyelashes, and said, Mom, I didn't expect my sister to become like this, and even you dared to scold her. Jiang Biying dropped his mobile phone to the ground, stood up from the sofa, and cursed angrily. It's really a shame to have such an immoralist daughter. She cheated in her own marriage. If the fourth master investigates her, wouldn't our family be finished? Mom, as far as I know, my brother-in-law has signed the divorce agreement. Jiang Biying narrowed her eyes. So, now she has no use value in Gu's house? She must have divided a lot of property after her divorce, right? Little bitch, no wonder even his mother dares to scold him. It turns out that he is rich. Mom, if my sister is really rich, she should be filial to you and dad, right? But now, she even blocked your phone. Jiang Biying's eyebrows sank, and there was an idea in her mind. She sneered. Can she not give it if she doesn't want to give it? Ming Guan looked at Jiang Biying's expression, and the corners of his lips hooked silently. It seems that without her action, the people around her will help her solve the problem. Chapter 21, he ate the food of the little snowball, and Ming Yu did not care about Ming's father and mother, Ming Guan and Xiao Yishan. In her eyes, they are no different from jumping bean clowns. Now, the most important thing in Ming Yu's heart is his own insomnia. She has always been confident in her medical skills, but she can't cure her insomnia. Now it's ridiculous to rely on a man's breath to fall asleep peacefully. She needs to study carefully how to develop the smell of Gu Tyrant. If it is researched, there will be no need to have any intersection with him in the future. It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening when Guo Sighting returned to Yuyao. After taking a shower, he went to the study again. Ming Yu went to the bathroom to get his clothes. Seeing the black shirt he took off, she put it on her nose and smelled it. Chanel Cocoa perfume, fresh oriental floral fragrance. Did the dog man find a woman at night? Mad, it also shows that he cheated, and how good is he? The woody fur is mixed with the smell of women's perfume, and Ming Yu is not very interested in such a smell. Forget it, the shirt he changed tonight can only be washed. Fortunately, the shirt she stole last night was not washed, and there was still the smell of fur on it. When he took the man's clothes from his clothes and saw the underwear he had changed, his eyelids jumped. TSK. It's so stuffy that I'm wearing a triangle. For the next 3 days in a row, Ming Yu did not see Gu Tyrant in the royal garden. I heard from Uncle Zhong that he is on a business trip. Fortunately, he changed his coat the day before the business trip, which could temporarily relieve Ming Yu of the pain of insomnia. On this day, Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law Zhong were going back to the countryside to sweep the grave, and only Ming Yu and Xiao Shitiao were left in the imperial garden. Ming Yu and Xiao Shitiao have developed feelings. Now the place where Xiao Shitiao stays the most is not Gu Tyrant's bedroom, but her maid's room. The existence of the little snowball also alleviated Ming Yu's loneliness. She decided to treat it well when she cooked a delicious meal. Put chicken breast, eggs, corn flour, vegetable leaves, carrots, and a little special cat food in it. She put a heart-shaped shape on the dinner plate. After finishing, she put it on the table and went to the room to order meatballs. Not long after Ming Yu left, the door of the villa was opened. The tall and cold man is back. Guo Sighting has been on business trips these days, his diet is irregular, and his stomach hurts a little. When I walked to the restaurant, I smelled a fragrance. There is a heart-shaped food on the white plate, which looks like chicken, eggs, carrots, etc., which are rich in color and fragrant, stimulating people's stomachs. Guo Sighting put his coat and briefcase on the sofa, washed his hands, and sat down at the dining table. He picked up the spoon and took a bite. Chewing slowly and logically. The taste is not bad. He took another bite. Ming Yu came to the restaurant with a small snowball in her arms. When she saw the man in front of the table, she was slightly stunned. The man is wearing a straight white shirt, a slim business vest, broad shoulders and narrow waist, long and thin. With his head down, the way he eats is elegant and noble. Ming Yu looked at the outline of his angular side face, and a trace of guile flashed in his eyes. If she reminds him now that he eats cat food, will he drive her away directly? Seeing that the delicious food was eaten by the male host, the little snowball jumped out of Ming Yu's arms and came to the table. At the male host who stole its delicious food, he protested 3 times. Meow meow to Guo Sighting looked up, looked at the little snowball that dared not move his claws, and frowned. What's the name? Didn't they give you anything to eat these days? Meow meow to Guo Sighting was unhappy to see the little snowball. He turned his head and looked at Mingqi. Chapter 22, she hasn't signed yet. That marriage, he is not divorced. Guo Sighting frowned slightly and half squinted his black eyes. The outline is handsome and cold and sharp. Even Ming Yu has seen many handsome men, but when facing Guo Sighting, he has to admit that this man is very attractive. Hormonal charm. Just a squinting will make a woman's heart beat faster. But fortunately, Ming Yu's determination is strong enough. Seeing him staring at him as if she had abused his cat, Ming Yu explained, "Fourth master, haven't you noticed that Xiao Shiqiu has gained a little weight recently?" Guo Sighting picked up the claws of the little snowball, which seemed to be a little heavy. "I serve it deliciously every day. Where can he find such a default servant like her?" Guo Sighting put down the small snowball and pointed to the cat food that he had eaten a few mouthfuls. "What is this? This? Well." Before Ming Yu could think about his words, a cynical voice suddenly sounded. Ming Yu looked up and saw a handsome and evil-looking man came in. The man sniffed, as if he smelled the fragrance. TSK, what smells so good? When he walked to the restaurant and saw the cat food on the table, he smelled it. Fourth brother, what is this? Without waiting for Gore Sighting to say anything, the man picked up the spoon and took a bite. After eating, he nodded repeatedly. Fourth brother, has your family changed the chef? It tastes very nice. Standing aside, Mingyu. Why haven't these rich brothers seen pure handmade cat food? The little snowball saw that its cat food was almost destroyed one bite after another. It whimped and jumped into Mingyu's arms aggrievedly. Meow, mama, please hug, please comfort to Mingyu touched the little snowball's head and signaled with his eyes to make it more delicious next time. Looking at Yanxi, who ate only a little residue, Gore Sighting's face was dark. Are you starving to death and reincarnated? Yanxi smiled evilly. It's not that foreign food is too bad. As soon as you come back, you can eat such delicious food. How can you stand it? With that, he found Mingyu standing in the corner of the restaurant, and Yanxi looked at her with a smile. Fourth brother, is there a new servant in Yuying? Yanxi sighed quietly. I don't know what the fourth brother thinks. He only knows about work all day long. In addition to the loyal uncle and sister-in-law, the servants at home are ordinary organizers. I heard that the last collector resigned. Why is the newcomer still so ordinary? Didn't you divorce that woman? You also have to enjoy yourself and find a more beautiful little maid. Mingyu. She hasn't signed it yet, okay? That marriage, he is not divorced. Besides, before he went on a business trip, she smelled the smell of women's perfume on his shirt. Just look for it outside. Do you still want to find a beautiful little maid to serve him at home at night? However, this little maid's food is excellent. Yanxi took out a copy of the ticket from his wallet. Next time my brother comes, he will cook delicious food. Mingyu held the little snowball and ignored Yanxi. Yanxi, who was ignored. Gore Sighting raised his finger, pulled his tie, and looked at Yanxi with deep eyebrows. Did he find Fox? Mingyu, who was about to leave the restaurant, was slightly stunned when he heard Gore Tyrant mention her name. Last time I talked to my younger brother Jing, I seemed to hear him say that Gu Tyrant spent a high price to search for her traces on the dark web. When it comes to business, Yanxi restrained the cynical smile on June's face, which was hard to find. According to rumors, Fox may have been killed. Chapter 23, what? He eats cat food. Gore Sighting's handsome and deep outline suddenly became tense. You need to see people in life, and you need to see corpses in death. Mingyu looked at the man who was full of pride and domineering, and couldn't help humming in his heart. At your attitude, even if Fox is still alive, it is impossible to help you. Mingyu walked out of the restaurant. A figure sitting in a wheelchair happened to appear at the door of the restaurant. Mingyu almost bumped into a man in a wheelchair. Mingyu glanced at the man. The man is quite handsome, his eyebrows are moist and clean, the bridge of his nose is tall and slender, his thin lips are crimson and pink, and his thin outline is exquisite and picturesque, just like the cold and beautiful jade man who came out of the comics. Mingyu exclaimed. The men around Tyrant Gore are all very good looking. I heard that he has a habit of breaking his sleeves. I guess it's true, right? Mu Chongjing in the wheelchair nodded to Mingyu and greeted politely, hello. The elegant and gentle voice makes people feel like a spring breeze. Mingyu has a good impression of men. However, he looked a little familiar. Mingyu soon remembered that she had seen him at the International Chopin Piano Competition 5 years ago. At that time, he was a competitor, and her third brother was the judge. She took a ticket and went down the stage to watch the game. She remembers him in those years. His eyes were like the stars in the middle of the night, bright and clear. And now, there is a faint melancholy color between his eyebrows. Mingyu looked at his legs and soon understood the reason. The once amousted teenager can now only walk in a wheelchair. No one can accept such a blow. Chun-Jin is here. Yanxi saw Mu Chunjing and quickly pushed him to the restaurant. After saying hello to Yanxi, Mu Chunjing looked at Gore Sighting, the fourth brother. Gore Sighting glanced at Mu Chunjin's legs and looked at his wrist. If it was just a leg problem, Chun-Jin would not be so decadent. Most importantly, his hand playing the piano was also injured for saving Gore Sighting. This is definitely a fatal blow to the piano Prince Mu Chunjing. This is also the reason why Gore Sighting spends a high price and must find Fox. Gore Sighting came forward and patted Mu Chunjing on the shoulder. Has the Mu family embarrassed you recently? Mu Chunjing lowered her eyes, covered her emotions, and shook her head. The fourth brother can rest assured that with your protection, the Mu family dares not do anything to me. With that, Mu Chunjing saw that there was only a small bite of cat food left on the table. Well, did the fourth brother personally cook for the little snowball? Gore Sighting and Yanxi were stunned at the same time. Standing at the door of the restaurant, Mingyu's eyelids jumped, and a bad premonition suddenly surged in his heart. Gore Sighting frowned slightly. Why did Chun-Jin ask? I followed a blogger who is very good at cooking and saw that she had shared such a cat food. There are a few seconds of silence in the air. Until Yanxi burst out shit. What I thought was delicious just now was cat food. Before, Yanxi thought it was delicious, but now, Yanxi only felt disgusted. He pinched his throat and ran to the bathroom to vomit wildly. Guo Sighting's face also changed in an instant. Ming Yu wanted to slip away. Guo Sighting caught her figure and scolded her coldly. Stop. Ming Yu's arm couldn't help but get goosebumps. Turn around. The man ordered coldly. Ming Yu only turned around and stubbornly looked at the man with a gloomy face that could drip water. Guo Sighting pointed to the dinner plate on the table. Is it cat food in it? Chapter 24, either resign or eat a bag of cat feed, being looked at by the man's sinister eyes, and his scalp is numb. In fact, people can also eat it. Just add some cat feed, and there will be no problem if you eat it. Guo Sighting's outline became tense in an instant, and his eyes were cold and sharp. Thinking that he had just eaten cat food, his stomach chumped. He stretched out his hand, nodded at Ming Yu, tightened his jaw, and strode upstairs. Not long after, Ming Yu also heard the sound of vomiting. It's over. With the nature of a tyrant, he will definitely not let her go after coming down. She has only been working here for a few days. She doesn't want to be fired so soon. Mu Chongjing looked at Ming Yu with his head down. He didn't know what he was thinking. His beautiful and elegant face showed an apologetic look. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have told the fourth brother that it was cat food before. Don't worry, when the fourth brother comes down, I will beg for mercy for you. Ming Yu exhaled. You haven't had dinner yet, have you? Mu Chongjing thought that the little maid was scared to tears by the fourth brother. Unexpectedly, there was not much fear and panic in her eyes, but a kind of calmness. It's like being sure that you have the ability to solve such a crisis. Although she looks ordinary, she has a temperament that cannot be ignored. Not yet. I'm going to go out to eat later. You don't have to go out. I offended the fourth master and Yang Shao. Just cook a meal as atonement. Ming Yu walked towards the kitchen. Mu Chongjing looked at her back, and a smile unconsciously appeared on her handsome face. This girl is confident and interesting. How could she be sure that the delicious food she cooked would be forgiven by the fourth brother? Half an hour later, Guo Sighting came down from upstairs. Although it has been spit out, the stomach is still quite uncomfortable and diaphragmic. Fourth brother, what are you going to do with that little maid? Yan Xi was quite upset and completely forgot that he had been rushing for food before. Guo Sighting squeezed his crimson lips, and his eyebrows were sharp and cold. What do you think? Either quit or finish a bag of cat feed. Guo Sighting, that's a good idea. Mu Chongjing coughed lightly. Fourth brother, I don't think the little maid did it on purpose, okay? How can we forget it? Yan Xi raised her eyebrows. She watched me and the fourth brother eat cat food without saying a word. She watched us being treated as cats by her thanks. He had previously thought that the cat food was better than the food in the big hotel outside, and his willingness was in vain after all. Guo Sighting didn't say anything more. He took the pocket with one hand and walked towards the kitchen with his long legs. As soon as I arrived at the door of the restaurant, I smelled a fragrant smell. In the transparent glass door, a slender and tall figure is busy inside. The back is vaguely similar to the woman he hates. Guo Sighting walked over and opened the glass door. He was about to say something with a cold face, when the sound of Yang Shi swallowing saliva came from behind him. Oh my god, what smells so good? As the son of the Yang family, Yang Shi has never tasted any delicious food, but he was immediately attracted by the fragrance from the kitchen. Yang Shi walked into the kitchen with a few arrow steps. Seeing the dishes made by Ming Yu, he swallowed his throat. What are you doing? Ming Yu knows the thoughts of these princes very well. She will definitely feel uncomfortable if she eats cat food without punishment. Being a beauty can relieve her of crime. Ming Yu raised his head with a trembling look. When the fourth master came back, I went to hold the little snowball. As soon as I arrived at the restaurant, I saw that he had eaten a few mouthfuls of cat food. At that time, I was too scared to remind him. Before I recovered from panic, you came and ate the rest of the cat food. I was even more scared at that time. Yan Shao, I didn't mean it. Hey. She knew that Guo Tyrant was standing at the door of the kitchen, and she sobbed on purpose. Number 2 Chapter 5, the fourth master is more arrogant. And Ming Yu interprets a panicked, timid, helpless and timid little maid to the extreme. Although she looks ordinary, there are tears in her eyes, which is really pitiful. When Yang Shi saw her like this, a desire for protection suddenly aroused in her heart. Her explanation doesn't sound like her fault. The fourth brother has a strong aura. Which woman is not afraid of him? Sometimes when the fourth brother gets angry, he is a little timid, not to mention the little maid who just came to work in the Imperial Garden. Yang Shi took a look at the food she cooked again, which was quite sincere. Cat food can make delicious food that makes people move their index fingers, not to mention the dishes that people eat. Yan Shi looked back at the expressionless man at the door of the kitchen. Fourth brother, she was also quite innocent, or forget it. Guo Sighting's dark eyes swept towards the bright and sharp. Ming Yu immediately lowered his head, shrugged his shoulders, and his body trembled. It seems to be scared to the extreme. He squeezed his cold lips, opened his mouth in a low and cold voice, and went out for dinner. Fourth master, I cooked dinner for you, and it tastes no worse than outside. The little maid's timid voice came. Guo Sighting glanced at her. She buried her head lower, and her body seemed to tremble more. Guo Sighting frowned his sword eyebrows. Is he that terrible? Fourth brother, the little maid is almost ready to eat. How about we eat at your house? Guo Sighting looked at several dishes that had been cooked on the kitchen table. Thinking of the deliciousness of the cat food before, he neither refused nor agreed, and turned around and walked out. Yan Shi patted Ming Yu on the shoulder with a smile. The fourth brother was relatively arrogant. He did not refuse, but accepted. Ming Yu looked at Yan Zai's big hand on her shoulder and almost gave him a shoulder fall. Yan Shao, go out. There is a lot of oil smoke in the kitchen. Ming Yu took away Yan Zai's hand on her shoulder. I don't know if it's Yan Zai's illusion that this ugly little maid seems to dislike him a little. Ming Yu cooked 5 dishes and 1 soup. Okra shrimp, tea oil pork belly egg, braised yam with minced meat, steamed perch, lion's head, etc. Looking at a table of dishes with full color and fragrance, rich and delicious, Yang Xi smashed his mouth. Fourth brother, the little maid you are looking for this time is a treasure. You are so good at cooking. Suddenly, there was an impulse to dig her into my home. When Mu Chungjing saw the dishes on the table, a trace of doubt flashed in her clear eyes. Why is the food cooked by the little maid a little similar to that of that blogger? However, as far as he knows, the blogger is very rich and also in Europe. It is impossible for him to work as a servant at the fourth brother's house. 3 young masters, I don't know if my craftsmanship suits your taste. Would you like to have a taste? Ming Yu stood in the corner of the restaurant, looking timid and respectful. Yan Shi looked at Guo Sighting and waited for him to move his chopsticks before he and Mu Chungjin moved his chopsticks. After taking a bite, Yan Shi made 3 consecutive sounds in his mouth. Damn it, damn it, damn it, it's so delicious. The Michelin-starred chef is better than the 5-star hotel. No, to be precise, there are not so many fancy and taste like home-cooked food, but it can catch people's stomachs very well at once. Fourth brother, Chung Jin, do you all think it's delicious? Guo Sighting looked at Ming Yu, who was standing in the corner. You can not only store and organize, but also cook delicious food. Where did you work before? Ming Yu replied in a low voice that he had also worked in a son's house before, but the master was grumpy, cold and unkind. Once I accidentally broke a bowl and fried me. Guo Sighting. He has the connotation. Chapter 26, Ming Yu's service is comprehensive. Yan Shi didn't hear anything wrong. He patted his thigh. Oh my god, why do you always find such an employer? As soon as Yan Shi said something, the atmosphere in the restaurant was strangely quiet. Yan Shi realized that he had said something wrong and coughed awkwardly. Fourth brother, I'm not talking about you. Ming Yu nodded, and his voice was soft and soft. Yan Shao was right. Although I had only worked with the fourth master for a few days, I obviously felt that the fourth master was not as rumored. He was cold on the outside and hot on the inside, and he was not good at words. There was a burst of hump in Ming Chi's heart. Guo Tyrant almost strangled her at the beginning. She was cold-hearted, irritable and bloodthirsty, and ruthless. But these words can't be said in front of Guo Tyrant. It's always right to cook a delicious meal for him, and by the way, wear a high hat to some nice words. It's rare for me to meet such a good master. I heard from my sister-in-law that the fourth master's stomach is not very good. Tonight, I cook all the dishes to nourish the stomach. I hope the fourth master will like it. Guo Sighting knew that he had a bad stomach. He ate cat food before, but she didn't stop him. Ming Yu noticed Guo Sighting's sharp eyes. She lowered her eyelashes and bit her lips with her teeth, looking extremely scared. Although her trembling eyelashes, combined with her ordinary face, were really unsympathetic, Guo Sighting did not embarrass her anymore. Forget it, what does he care about with a little maid? I took a look at the dishes on the table. They are indeed nourishing for the stomach, which is much more delicious than what my wife Zhou usually cooks. Mu Chungjing looked at Mingqi, and the corners of his lips slightly raised. This little maid is very interesting. Obviously, she was not so timid before, but after the fourth brother came down, she showed a flattering and scared look. Even the cold and ruthless fourth brother will not punish her again when he sees the little maid so flattering and afraid of him. He is quite smart and good at pinching people's hearts. Yan Shi went to the wine cellar and took out 2 bottles of good wine. Ming Yu stood aside and tried her best to serve them as a servant. Whoever ran out of wine in the wine glass, she immediately fell down. If anyone needed a hot towel to wipe her hands, she immediately handed it over. If anyone else needed to light a cigarette, she could also come forward to light a fire for them. In a word, the service is comprehensive. Yan Shi felt more and more that the fourth master had picked up the treasure. Yan Shi talked a lot, but after drinking too much, he talked more. He looked at Guo Sighting, the fourth brother, and our brothers. It seemed that you and Cheng Jin were quite miserable, except that I grew up in the loving environment of my parents. Your mother only loves your brother. You hold the power of the Guo family, and she also wants you to hand over the power to your brother. It's really biased. I learned from my mother that your mother plans to let you marry the Zhou family after your divorce. Who doesn't know that Mrs. Zhou is your mother's best friend? She asked you to marry Miss Zhou to take power from you in disguise, right? Gore Sighting's slender and pure fingers held the wine glass, swayed carelessly, and put his other hand on the back of the chair. Because of this action, the white shirt was close to his long body, outlining his thin but strong shoulders and pectoral muscles. What are you doing with these? Gore Sighting drank all the liquid in the cup. I don't care about it for a long time. He said he didn't care, but drank one cup after another. Standing in the corner, Mingyu looked at the tight outline, which looked cold and fierce, but there was a lonely man. There was a strange feeling in her heart. It turns out that Gore Tyrant's original family is as bad as Mingyu. Chapter 27, for his maintenance, several men drank until midnight. Yan Xi was so drunk that he fell on the table, and Gore Sighting was not much better. Mu Chungjin drank less and was a little sober due to health reasons. The driver of Yanxi and Mu Chungjin came to pick them up. After Yanxi got into the car, Ming Yi helped push Mu Chungjin out of the villa. Mu Chungjin looked up at Ming Yi and said in a clear voice, "Please take care of the fourth brother tonight." "Mr. Mu, don't worry, I will take care of the fourth master. The weather is slowly getting colder, especially at night, and there is a chill in the air." As soon as the cold wind blew, Mu Chungjin couldn't stop coughing. Ming Yi looked at Mu Chungjin's face. She took out a medicine bottle from her pocket and handed it to Mu Chungjin before she got on the car. "Mu Xiao, this cough treatment is quite good. You go back and take one pill a day. The medicine is a traditional Chinese medicine pill made by her in her spare time, which can cure cough and nourish her body. She plans to give it to her when Mrs. Gore returns to Tancheng." Mu Chungjin saw the medicine bottle handed over by Ming Yu. There was no drug name, manufacturer, etc. on it, which looked like a Sanwo product. But because of his good literacy, Mu Chungjin did not refuse Ming Yi's kindness. "Thank you very much. Mu Xiao, remember to eat. Your cough should be fine in half a month." Looking at such a determined Ming Yu, Mu Chungjin was a little funny. The best doctor in Tancheng can't cure his root cough, but this little girl is not shamed to say anything. After Chao Mingyu nodded, Mu Chungjin closed the window of the car. "When I returned to Mu's house, I heard Mu's father's roar as soon as I entered. When he became crippled, I asked you to give birth to another son for me. Now, I'm too old to give birth to him. We are the big house of the Mu family, but we only have a disabled son. The second and third rooms want to take power. What do we need to fight with them?" Mu's mother sobbed. "Our Chungjin may still have hope to stand up. Didn't the fourth master promise to help our Chungjin? He just said. How many years has it been? Did Chungjin stand up? Anyway, it's not him who is disabled. Of course, he won't really take it to heart." Mu Chungjin has always shown a touch of fierceness on her clean and gentle face. "Dad, the fourth brother is not the kind of person you say." He knew that the fourth brother had spent a lot of connections, money and energy to find Fox. But Fox is too mysterious to be found. When Mu's father saw Mu Chunji, his face became even more ugly. "Did you go to see Gore Sighting tonight? Did he agree to cooperate with our Mu family on the land in the west of the city? Since Mu Chunjin's accident, the Mu family has received a lot of benefits from Gore Sighting. Dad, in the future, I don't want to rely on the relationship of the fourth brother to help the Mu family anymore. Everyone is bidding for the land in the west of the city. If the Mu family has the strength, they can also participate in the bidding." Before Mu Chungjin finished his words, Mu's father picked up the ashtray on the coffee table and smashed it at him angrily. Mu Chungjin didn't hide. His forehead was smashed, and blood gushed out. When Mu's mother saw this, she screamed and wanted to run towards Mu Chungjin. Mu's father pulled her. "He ruined your leg, and you still protect him everywhere? Even if he offers the whole Gore family, he owes us." Mu Chungjin raised his eyes, and his clear eyes were fierce. "The fourth brother never owes our family. On the contrary, our Mu family is like a vampire and has been sucking the blood of the fourth brother. The opposite is the opposite. In the past, I told you not to play with Gore Sighting and make more friends with his brother. You didn't listen to me. As a result, you disabled yourself to save him. Gore Sighting was born as a broom star that his parents didn't love. Whoever made friends with him would not end up well. Enough, if you dare to say bad things about the fourth brother again, we will break off the father-son relationship." Chapter 28, "Do you know what will end with the woman who wants to seduce me?" Mu's father opened his eyes wide, his face was ferocious, and the blue veins on his forehead were protruding. He pointed to Mu Chungjin's nose. "If you say cut it off, cut it off. Unless you die, you will be born as a person of our Mu family, and die as a ghost of our Mu family." Someone came and locked the young master into the room. He didn't think about how to get the piece of land in the west of the city from Gore Sighting's hand, so he was not allowed to step out of the door. This is to put Mu Chungjin under house arrest. Mu's mother looked at Mu's father with tears in her eyes and prayed, "Master, you can't do that to Chungjin ah." Before Mu's mother finished her words, she was slapped by her father. Mu's mother fell to the ground. "Mom, don't beg him." Mu Chungjin slid forward in a wheelchair and helped Mu's mother up. Mu's mother hugged Mu Chungjin and burst into tears. "Chungjin, it's useless. Mom can't protect you." Mu's father kicked Mu's mother away, looked at the housekeeper, and was still stunned. He sent the young master back to the room. He didn't think about it and was not allowed to give him food and drink. Mu Chongjin also breathed. His chest gasped slightly, and he couldn't stop coughing. I can't stop coughing. A mouthful of blood spit out. Seeing this, Mu's father did not ask the housekeeper to find a doctor for Mu Chongjin. Mu Chongjin was locked in the room. He bent down, grabbed the armrest of the wheelchair with both hands, and his face turned blue and purple. A trace of hatred flashed in the clear eyes. But now he is so weak that he can't even protect himself. How can he protect his mother? If he coughed like this, Mu Chongjin felt that he was going to die here. He fell to the ground weakly, and a medicine bottle fell out. I remembered the little maid's words in my mind. Mu Xiao, remember to eat. Your cough should be fine in half a month. Before that, he had never thought about the idea of taking this bottle of medicine. But now, he feels that he is not far from death. Anyway, he is dying. Are you afraid that the little maid gave him poison? Mu Chongjin opened the bottle cap with trembling fingers. A strong smell of traditional Chinese medicine floated out. Smelling this smell, the pain in Mu Chongjin's head seemed to be relieved a lot. He swallowed a grain into his throat. I don't know whether it was the effect of the medicine or his psychological effect. After eating, the cough was relieved a lot, and even the lung cavity was not as burning and uncomfortable. After a while, he stopped coughing, and the burning lung cavity seemed to be immersed in a warm sauce, making his body more comfortable and smooth than ever before. Mu Chongjin looked at the porcelain bottle in his hand, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. How can the little maid of the fourth brother's family have such a magical medicine? Can the cough that has plagued him for several years really be cured after eating for 15 days in a row? Royal Garden. Ming Yu looked at the messy dining table, and then looked at the man lying on the table who obviously drank too much. She clenched her fists and waved at the back of his neck. Suddenly, the man raised his head and looked at her. There was no time to withdraw Ming Yu's fist. The moment she met the man's scarlet narrow eyes, Ming Yu really wanted to explode in place. There was a fly on the head of the fourth master, and I was about to help you get rid of it. Never admit it. She wanted to beat him while he was drunk. Guo Sighting's handsome and deep face had a faint meaning. He ignored Ming Yu and stood up from the chair with a tall body. Looking at him staggering out of the restaurant, Ming Yu hurried forward and helped him. Guo Sighting looked down at her and said in a low and hoarse voice, "Do you know what happened to the maid who wanted to seduce me last time?" Ming Yu. Who wants to seduce you? Do you mean her? TSK, do you want to be so narcissistic? Chapter 29, smelling his breath and falling asleep, Ming Yu was too lazy to help Guo Sighting again. She was about to clean up the restaurant and go back to the maid's room. Suddenly, she remembered that his coat had been held by her for 3 days, and his breath had dissipated a lot. She had to get a new piece of his clothes tonight. Thinking of the suit jacket he changed on the sofa, Ming Yu planned to get it. Walking out of the restaurant, he found that the man did not go upstairs, but leaned against the wall of the corridor, wrinkled his eyebrows and his eyelids drooping, looking uncomfortable. Hearing the footsteps, he raised his eyelids and glanced at Ming Yu. "You are so ugly. You should be self-aware. Don't think like that about the employer." He stretched out his hand to her and hugged me. He is high above, like an emperor waiting for a maid to serve. Ming Yu complained in his heart. I've never seen such a bitch man who obviously needs her but doesn't like her. Forget it. For the sake of his ability to cure her insomnia, she has a big belly and doesn't argue with him. Ming Yu came forward and helped the man to walk upstairs. When she helped him to the room, she was so tired that she was sweating profusely. After the man lay down on the bed, he didn't feel at ease. He has a serious cleanliness fetish. He can't sleep without taking a shower or changing clothes at night, even if he is drunk. Ming Yu was about to turn around and leave, but his slender wrist was held by a man. There is water in the bathtub. I want to take a shower. Ming Yu tried to pull his hand back, but the man held it tighter and tighter. He clasped his 5 fingers, and his warm and dry palms were close to her skin. Ming Yu took out a silver needle and quickly stabbed it into his hand. The man seemed to feel the pain and had to let go of Ming Yu. If you don't want to be fired tomorrow, just do as I tell you. Ming Yu put his hands around his chest and rolled his eyes secretly. Too lazy to pay attention to him, she went downstairs. After tidying up the messy restaurant, Ming Yu put on the man's suit jacket on the sofa. Smelling the smell above, my eyelids became heavy. Give me water, do you hear me? Sister-in-law. Uncle Zhong. Go Fujian. Ming Yu was suddenly turned up by the man, and the noise suddenly made him sleepless. Will you die if you don't take a shower? It's rare in the world to have such a dog man who is obsessed with cleanliness. Ming Yu didn't want to be disturbed by him all night, let alone be fired by him tomorrow morning, so she had to go to the upstairs bedroom again. The man lay on the head of the bed and unbuttoned his shirt at some point. The sexy collarbone and strong chest were all exposed. The dog man's figure is really deadly. Although Ming Yu was not he still swallowed unconsciously. Go Fujian, what are you looking at? Is the water ready? The man stared at her with drunken eyes. Immediately. Go to the bathroom and put water in the bathtub for him. Just as he was about to go out to call him, the man staggered in. Then, he vomited Ming Yu. I'm going to your uncle. She really couldn't handle him alone, so she had to call the guard on duty in the security room. The staff on duty changed the clothes for the dog man, waited for him to lie on the bed cleanly, and finally stopped making a fuss. Ming Yu wiped the cold sweat on her forehead and vowed never to stay with this drunken man again. It's terrible. Ming Yu went back to the maid's room to clean up herself. Thinking that the man's suit jacket had been spit out by himself, she was so angry that she exploded in place. If she wants to fall asleep at night, she can only brazenly go to the dog man. The man lay quietly on the bed, his eyes closed, but his slender sword eyebrows frowned slightly. Ming Yu stood by the bed and looked at him quietly. The orange wall lamp is refracted on the man's angular and handsome face. Like a warm halo. Men's eyelashes are longer than women's, the bridge of the nose is high and straight, and the thin lips are sexy. If the personality can be changed, it is also quite beautiful. Ming Yu leaned forward, and the breath on his body was what she liked. Ming Yu moved the chair to the bedside and fell asleep while smelling his breath. She just fell asleep. The temperature in the room was getting lower and lower in the early morning. She unconsciously moved to the warm place of the quilt. Chapter 30, You Climb on My Bed. When the fish's belly turned white in the sky, Ming Yu woke up from his dream. She opened her eyes and saw herself nestling in the man's arms, and her pupils contracted slightly. Why did she run to someone else's bed last night? She was obviously just lying on the edge of the bed. Looking at the man's handsome face, she was relieved to see that he hadn't woken up yet. He lifted the quilt and planned to escape at the speed of light while he didn't notice it, but before he got out of bed, his scalp suddenly hurt. The long hair was pulled by the man. Then, a gloomy and cold voice sounded behind her. Will you climb on my bed? Even if you don't look back, you can still feel the powerful aura, Amang. It is cold and extremely oppressive. It's rare to feel a little guilty. In fact, she didn't know how to climb onto his bed last night. But she just likes the smell on his body, and absolutely has nothing wrong with his flesh. Ming Yu pulled back the painful long hair from his palm and touched his face. She is more confident in her makeup skills. Even after a night without makeup removal, she should not see any flaws. She looked back at the man and looked timid. I'm sorry, Fourth Master. You were drunk last night. I was afraid that you would kick the quilt or vomit again, so I lay on the bed to take care of you. I don't know why I lay in the same bed with you at night. Maybe it was too cold at night. I wanted to share some quilts. She shrank her shoulders and her eyelashes didn't stop. Trembling. Interpret the image of a little maid who is scared to the extreme. But Guo Sighting obviously didn't believe what she said. Even if he didn't become the person in power of the Guo family, there were women trying to climb into his bed, let alone these 2 years. It's just that Guo Sighting didn't expect that this ordinary little maid would dare to act so boldly. Pack your things now and get out of the royal garden. Ming Yu. This tyrant will let people get out of here at any time. Her kindness last night really fed the dog. Seeing that she stood still, the man's dark and narrow eyes flashed with cold and disgust. Don't you want to get out and wait to be blocked by the whole industry? So cold and ruthless. Bitch. Ming Yu originally wanted to explain it to him, but on the other think, it was better not to say anything now. She forced a bright tear into her eyes. After taking a look at Guo Sighting aggrievedly and angry, she turned around and ran away. Guo Sighting's temples jumped when he saw Ming Yu's eyes when he left. Why, she shamelessly climbed on the master's bed and felt wronged. Xiao Xiqiu slept in the maid's room where Ming Yu lived for a night. When she woke up, she didn't see her people and ran to the master's room. Seeing Ming Yu running outside, it meowed a few times, but Ming Yu ignored it. The little snowball entered the room and saw that the male protagonist's face was gloomy and his anger had not subsided. It meowed a few more times. Guo Sighting was upset by the little snowball. He whispered, "What's your name? Do you feel sorry for her?" "I feel sorry for her to go with her." The little snowball ran out with SWH. Guo Sighting. The unfamiliar white-eyed wolf. Ming Yu returned to the maid's room and began to pack his luggage regardless of the little snowball meowing at her. In fact, she doesn't have much stuff, and she will clean it up soon. Xiao Xiqiu was so anxious when he saw that Ming Yu was leaving. Ming Yu patted the little snowball on the head. "I left today to get together better in the coming, you know?" The little snowball shook its head, indicating that it didn't know. "If your host doesn't take the initiative to make peace, I won't come back for the time being. I'd rather endure the pain of insomnia first than keep a little dignity." Chapter 31, She left the royal garden. When Xiao Xiqiu saw that Ming Yu was about to leave with a luggage bag, it ran to the male protagonist's bedroom again. Guo Sighting was about to take a shower when the little snowball bit his trouser leg and dragged him to the balcony. "Meow meow meow, do you see that Wamama is leaving?" Guo Sighting looked at the little snowball that was turning in a hurry, and then looked at the woman who walked out of the gate of the villa. She put a luggage backpack on her shoulder, put her hands in her pockets, and walked out of a crazy and wild posture. Maybe she heard the meowing sound of the little snowball upstairs, and she quickly drooped her shoulders again, looking like she was wronged. Guo Sighting frowned and felt that the maid was strange. Ignoring the meow of the little snowball, Guo Sighting walked towards the bathroom. Ming Yu walked to the duty room at the gate. The staff on duty last night looked surprised when they saw her. Go Forjun, why are you crying? Ming Yu didn't really cry, but with eye drops in her eyes, coupled with a look of great injustice on her face, which made people look like she had cried. Ming Yu bit his lip, and his eyelashes trembled, and a small white flower was vividly interpreted. Brother Shen, I can't work in Yuyang anymore. Thank you for your help last night. Shen Li frowned. What's going on? Last night, I was afraid that the fourth master would vomit again, so I fell asleep beside his bed. Later, I fell asleep and somehow got to the fourth master's bed in a daze. When the fourth master woke up, he said that I would climb on his bed and fired me. Shen Li opened his eyes wide. Although he has only worked with Go Forjun for a few days, she will share with their doorman's room when she makes delicious snacks. She is really not beautiful, but her character is really good. Brother Shen, see you again if you are destined. Ming Yu raised his hand to wipe the corners of his eyes, turned around and left quickly. She didn't explain it immediately in front of the tyrant before, because she explained that with his arrogant and conceited character, she would not believe it easily. If Shen Li is asked to transfer it, the effect will be different. In fact, arrogant and conceited people are not necessarily bad in their hearts. It can be seen from his attitude towards Mu Chungjin that the tyrant is still quite righteous and affectionate. If he knows that he has wronged a little maid who tried her best to take care of him, he will definitely feel a trace of guilt. In the bathroom, cold water poured down the shower from the top of the man's head, and the water drops were on him. Fading on the white skin, the man closed his eyes, his sword eyebrows were deep, his outline was cold and steep, his shoulders were wide and his reeds were narrow, and the male hormone breath fermented in the space. He raised his head slightly, and the water flowed down his cold and charming outline, and his handsome face became more and more steep and sexy. Suddenly, he opened his dark eyes. Turn off the water, wipe the body and put the bathrobe on your body. Shen Li stood in the bedroom and came to find him boldly. Under normal circumstances, the staff on duty at the gate is not allowed to come to the master's bedroom. Shen Li saw the cold sharpness refracted from the man's black eyes. He was so scared that his face turned pale. After several deep breaths, he dared to open his mouth. IV. Fourth Master. Go Sighting said coldly, what's the matter? Fourth Master, I'm here to complain for Go Forjun. Go Sighting didn't say anything, but the atmosphere around him was obviously colder. Shen Li didn't dare to look into Go Sighting's eyes. He summoned up his courage and said in one breath. Last night, you vomited all over Go Forjun. Go Forjun cleaned up the bathroom and called me over. After you take a bath, I will change the clothes for you. If Go Forjun wants to do something, why do you call me when you take a bath and change your clothes? Chapter 32, Dog Man, do you want to be so cold-blooded and ruthless? What, did she complain to you? Go Sighting half squinted his dangerous black eyes and looked at his sharp eyes, which made Shen Li's scalp numb. Go Sighting didn't expect that Go Forjun had only come to Yuying to work for a few days, and even his doorman staff was bribed by her. How dare you take the initiative to break into his bedroom and say good words for her? Shen Li was so scared that his legs trembled under Go Sighting's strong and oppressive eyes. He really wanted to turn around and leave, but when he thought of Go Forjun leaving, he wanted to cry as if he had been wronged. Son, he plucked up his courage and said, Fourth Master, you may not remember a lot of things you drank last night, but Go Forjun really just took care of you purely. She can't climb into your bed with her kind of nature. It must be too cold at night. She accidentally got into your bed after falling asleep. It's impossible to have impure thoughts. In the past few days when Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law were away, she not only took good care of the imperial garden in an orderly manner, but also was busy last night. You vomited to her without any complaints and have been taking care of you. She prepared stomach-nourishing porridge in the kitchen, which you can drink when you get up in the morning, and the soba soup, which was supposed to be for you to drink last night, but you slapped it open, and the broken glass still scratched on her fingertips. If a conscientious servant is to be fired, who will dare to come to Yuyang to do things in the future? Go Sighting's sword eyebrows sank, bold. Why, you don't want to work either? Shen Li lowered his head. Fourth Master, I'm just telling the truth. If you want to fire me, I can't help it. Go Sighting waved his hand and asked Shen Li to go to work first. When he got downstairs, he saw the stomach-nourishing porridge boiled in the pot and the appetizers beside him, and his eyebrows frowned deeper. Several pictures flashed in my mind. He seemed to be shouting to take a shower and asked people to go to the bathroom to put water. When he got to the bathroom, he seemed to have really vomited Go Forjun. When he woke up in the morning, he did see a chair beside the bed. Could it be that he really misunderstood her? Thinking of Go Forjun's aggrieved eyes when she left, Go Sighting's temple felt a slight pain. After eating some stomach porridge in the morning, Go Sighting went to work at Go's. When I returned to the royal garden in the evening, Uncle Zheng and sister-in-law Zhong came back. Go Sighting took 2 bites of the dinner cooked by sister-in-law Zhong and put down his chopsticks. The food cooked by sister-in-law Zhong is actually not bad, but it seems to be much inferior to what Go Forjun cooked last night. Go Sighting rubbed his eyebrows and leaned on the chair for a while. He didn't know what he was thinking. The mobile phone vibrated. When he saw the call from Yangshi, he pressed the answer button. Fourth brother, there is a new chef in Yonghua Pavilion. I heard that the dishes they cook taste good. Would you like to come out for dinner together? Guo Sighting gave a faint hum. Sister-in-law Zhou originally wanted to ask Guo Sighting and Guo Forjun where they had gone, but seeing his cold face, she swallowed the words again. After returning to the small yard she rented, Mingyu looked at her mobile phone several times. She left a new mobile phone number with Uncle Zhong, which only Uncle Zhong knows. Normally, Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law returned to the royal garden, and Shenli found Guo Tyrant again. Guo Tyrant should ask Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law to call her and let her go back to work. Does Tyrant Guo know that he has wronged her, and he has no guilt and sympathy at all? Dog man, do you want to be so cold-blooded and ruthless? If he doesn't let Uncle Zhou ask her to go back, what should she do in the future? Do you have to change your identity to apply for the job? Ming Yu walked around the room, and his whole body was very manic. I don't know how long it took, but the mobile phone on the bed rang. Ming Yu's eyes lit up, he threw himself on the bed, and hurriedly picked up his mobile phone. Chapter 33, make an appointment with her, and the caller ID is a strange number. Will it be from Guo Tyrant? Ming Yu was arrogant and waited for the mobile phone to ring several times before pressing the answer button. A male voice came from the other end of the phone. You are finally willing to answer my phone. Ming Yu recalled for several seconds before he remembered who the male voice was. Xiao Yisheng. Is the wound on his face better? It shouldn't be so fast. Last time she blocked his number, and this time he changed his number to call. Yu, I know you are still angry that I ran away first after your husband kicked the door in last time. You also punished me. Let's get back to union, okay? Xiao Yisheng's voice is quite gentle, and his posture is also very low. In the past, Ming Yu was deceived by his comfort. What's the matter? Ming Yu asked coldly. Baby, the director, deputy director and producer of the crew of Jing Chenjie came to Tancheng. I talked to them for a long time, and they finally agreed to give you a third role. Ming Yu's acting skills are recognized as bad in the circle. She also has a star dream, so she only played some ugly roles. The female third of Jing Chenjie is a role that even non-girl stars want to win. Xiao Yisheng thought that Ming Yu would be grateful if he heard it, so he immediately rushed to his arms. Unexpectedly, instead of being interested, Ming Yu yawned lazily. So what? What if she asked him? In the past, she only received an insignificant role and was happy for a long time. Now he has found a female third role for her, but she doesn't react at all. Thinking of tonight's plan, Xiao Yisheng continued to launch a gentle and affectionate offensive. In order to get this role for you, I used a lot of connections. Director Fong and others happened to come to Tancheng and want to see you. Would you come out and meet them? Don't worry, I will accompany you all the way, baby, come here, okay? You can see my sincerity when you come here. Ming Yu originally wanted to refuse, but listening to the scumbag's tone, he seemed to swear that he would not give up if he didn't ask her out tonight. There must be something fishy among them. Anyway, Guo Tyrant didn't call her. It's quite boring to be alone. Why don't you go and see what bad ideas the scumbag has? All right. Hearing that Ming Yu agreed, Xiao Yisheng was suddenly happy. You, don't put on heavy makeup and dress beautifully tonight. You also know that the third female girl in Jing Chenjie is a beautiful demon girl. You have to satisfy Director Fong and others in terms of image. Aren't you afraid that I will fall in love with a group of wolves? Xiao Yisheng was stunned, and then said spoiledly, you are my woman. Director Fong, they won't do anything to you. Don't worry, I will protect you well and not let you be polluted by the big dying tank in the entertainment industry. Hearing Xiao Yisheng's words, Ming Yu just wanted to vomit. She didn't dress up. She wore a shirt and jeans, her long hair was tied into a ponytail, and she didn't apply foundation. How comfortable she was. The dinner of Xiao Yisheng's group was in the Yonghua Pavilion. After making sure that Ming Yu would come, he quickly called Ming Guan. Guan, in the evening, you take your uncles and aunts to the Ruyi box of the Yonghua Pavilion. There will be a good show. Ming Guan knew that Xiao Yisheng was going to start his plan, and said in a soft voice, Brother Yisheng, have you thought about it? In that case, my sister may be disappointed in you in the future and won't love you anymore. Xiao Yisheng hummed, who made her love? Her broken bus, I'm still disgusted by her love. When the plan succeeds, I can not only get her divorce property, but also control her in the future, which will also solve a disaster for your family. Chapter 34, her beauty was amazing. After talking to Xiao Yisheng on the phone, Ming Guan went downstairs. It happened that Ming Guan came back from the company. Ming Guan came forward with a smile and took the briefcase from him. Ming Guan looked at the soft and understanding little daughter with a spoiled smile on her face. What's so happy about our family? Dad, I was selected as the female first in Jing Chenjie. Ming Guan has heard of the big IP Jing Chenjie, which is a great work directed by the famous director Feng in the circle. I heard that director Feng has a very tough background in the capital circle. If Ming Guan can enter director Feng's circle, he will definitely become a first-line star in the future. His Guan really competes for him, which is simply a combination of beauty and talent. However, I heard that my sister wants to play the female third role in Chingchongju. She will go to the Yonghe Pavilion to meet director Feng and others in the evening. Ming Guan frowned with some worry. Dad, you also know my sister's acting skills. She really can't stand the role of the third female role in Chingchongju. I'm a little worried that my sister wants to talk for the role, and the unfinished words are fantastical. Ming Guan frowned when he thought of his eldest daughter's enchanting appearance. Since she brought Ming Yu back from the countryside, she has made a lot of celebrities in Tangcheng. His old face of Ming Guan is about to be lost. He is not as good as Ming Guan in everything, but he likes to learn from her. Ming Guan's career in the entertainment industry has improved, and she also wants to enter the entertainment industry. I married into the Guo family, but I don't know what to do. If it weren't for the old lady's protection, he really wanted to break the father-daughter relationship with her. Bastard, she took a huge amount of divorce property. If she doesn't keep a low profile, what else does she want to be? Jiang Biying came down from upstairs. Guan, let's go to the Yonghe Pavilion to have a look. In case she does something to humiliate the Ming family, we will really have no face to see anyone in the future. Mom and Dad, you won't be so unmeasured, will you? Ming Guo's anger was uncontrollable. If she had the measure, she would not cheat on the fourth master. The family went to the Yonghe Hall with different thoughts. There are several men in the Rui box of the Yonghe Pavilion. The smoke is lingering, and the laughter is endless. When Ming Yu pushed the door open and appeared at the door of the box, the men who looked at her were stunned. Director Feng's big arms and round waist, and greasy eyes were withdrawn from Xiao Yisha's body. When it fell on Ming Yu's body, it was difficult to move away at once. Ming Yu entered the entertainment industry and only made a few TV series with no water. In it, there were still 5 women and 6 women who had no sense of existence. Sometimes they also played ugly roles, and no one could remember her. Director Feng asked himself to see countless beautiful women, but when he saw Ming Yu, he was still suffocated and shocked. Xiao Yishen praised how amazing Ming Yu was in front of him, and he still didn't believe it. But now, after seeing Ming Yu himself, he believes it. Xiao Yishen stood up and walked towards Ming Yu. Coming quickly. This is Director Feng, Deputy Director Li, Production Jiang. The others are the directors and producers of another crew. The men in the box looked straight at Ming Yu. Completely regard her as a prey for their entertainment. Ming Yu followed Xiao Yishen to sit down, and on the other side was Director Feng. Seeing that Director Feng and others were so satisfied, Xiao Yishen secretly winked at the waiter behind him. The waiter came forward and poured a glass of wine for Ming Yu. You are late. In order to show your sincerity, please give a toast to all the directors and film productions. If there are any good roles in the future, they will give priority to you. Ming Yu's careless hooking lips, okay? Ming Yu raised the wine and stood up to pay respects to everyone. Seeing that Ming Yu finished a glass of wine so quickly, Xiao Yishen smiled coldly. Ming Yu is really a real fool. Babies, the title of the book has been changed. The title of the new book is Master Guo, Mrs. She is pretending to be pitiful again. Don't make a mistake to chapter 35, what kind of demon is she going to be again? When Ming Yu finished drinking, Xiao Yishen introduced for her, Yu, this is Director Feng. Just call me Brother Feng. You can be her grandfather's person, and you still call her brother. Xiao Yishen didn't know what Ming Yu was thinking in his heart. He looked good for her. That person was Li, the production of Li, and it was good for you to get to know them. Several men on the table looked at Ming Yu, and their saliva was about to flow to the ground, with an evil and oath in their eyes. Director Fu stretched out his hand and touched the back of Ming Yu's hand. Ming Yu withdrew her hand without moving. Before Director Feng was about to change her face, she got up with a lazy smile. I'll help you pour a glass of wine and toast you another glass. As she smiled, the light-colored tear moles in the corners of her eyes became vivid, and the whole person became more and more charming. Director Feng and others have seen countless beauties, but their bright appearance, even in the entertainment industry, is unprecedented. It's just a pity. I heard that her reputation is like a mouse in a stinky ditch. I don't know if it's the broken shoes after a few hands. If this face hadn't been amazing enough, they would have been afraid of getting sick. Ming Yu took the wine from the waiter and poured the wine for Director Feng and Li, and the last one was Xiao Yishan. Ming Yu picked up the wine glass. It's a pleasure to see you all. I hope everyone can have a good time tonight. Director Feng drank all the liquid in the cup and looked up and down at Ming Yu. He couldn't wait to swallow her to the bone. Miss Ming, we will definitely have a good time with you tonight. Ming Yu raised his thin white and tender fingers and stroked his forehead. I suddenly felt a little dizzy. She fell down and lay on the table. Xiao Yishen and Director Feng looked at each other and smiled at each other. Xiao Yishen lowered his head and sent a message to Ming Guan. When Ming Guan received the message, he had already arrived at the gate of Yonghe Hall. Have you arrived? There will be a good drama to watch soon. Seeing the message sent by Xiao Yishan, Ming Guan's heart jumped. It seems that Ming Yu has fallen into Xiao Yisha's hunting plan. Ming Guan took Jiang Biying and Ming Guan to the Rui box. When it was almost time, Ming Guan saw a tall and cold figure. The man was about to enter a luxurious bag diagonally opposite the Rui box. Ming Guan didn't expect to meet Guo Xie here. She was surprised, brother-in-law. It's really God's help for her. The unbearable scene is about to be seen by the fourth master. Hearing someone calling him, Guo Xie looked back. Ming Guan stood forward, with a pale face and about to cry. Brother-in-law, are you here to find your sister? Although you are divorced, she is still your ex-wife. It's really disregarding your face to do such a thing outside. I really can't understand why she doesn't cherish her feathers when you have divided so much property with her. You must stink the reputation of the Ming family and you. Brother-in-law, my parents will discipline my sister well later. You must not blame our Ming family. When Ming Guan saw Guo Xie, his legs softened slightly. Obviously, Guo Xie was a junior and used to be his eldest son-in-law, but in the face of his strong and cold aura, Ming Guan did not even dare to look directly at him. Fourth master, don't worry. When I bring back that shameless thing, I will definitely teach you a good lesson. Guo Xie put one hand in his trouser pocket, narrowed his dark eyes slightly, and looked at the Minmili condescendingly. Is Ming Yu here? Recently, Zhou Yan and Luo Zhou have not been able to find her. The divorce agreement has not been signed, and she is also his registered wife. It's only been a few days. What kind of demon is she going to do again? Chapter 36, doesn't he care what Ming Yu does? Ming Guan bit his lip and burst into tears. He heard that his sister wanted to win the third role of the female role of Xing Changji. Director Fu and others came from the capital, and she socialized in it. The young and beautiful girl interacted with several big men in it, which made people think. Guo Xie has no interest in Ming Yu at all, and he doesn't bother to pay attention to what she did before. It's just that this woman refuses to sign and is still doing nonsense outside. Isn't it a little too inconspicuous of him? Guo Xie's handsome and cold jaw was tight. He walked to the door of the Rui box and kicked the door open. Ming Guan walked quickly to the door and looked inside. She was overjoyed to see the situation inside. Several men, standing in front of the sofa, are watching something. Through the gap between several people, she saw two figures on the sofa. One of the fat figures should be Director Fong. TSK, this skin is really tender. The face is also beautiful. I haven't seen such a stunning beauty for a long time. Fong Dao's treacherous voice sounded, and the others also laughed. Lao Fong, let us check the goods later. This kind of good family is not good to play. Several people laughed obscenely. When Ming Guan saw this, he was overjoyed. After today, Ming Yu will be like a mouse in a stinky ditch. Brother-in-law, don't be angry. My sister was born beautiful, and it's normal to be liked. In the past, when she was in school, there were many suitors around her. Although she didn't refuse in the past, at least they were the same age, but now Director Feng and others. My sister grew up in the countryside and was found in the Ming family when her character was developed. It's too late for my parents to teach her well. Now that it has become like this, it hurts my parents the most. Ming Guan said with an angry face. What Guan said was that Ming Yu was so reckless and shameless. I was really sad that I couldn't wait to slap her to death. Fourth master, Guan has been raised by our side since we were young. His temper is completely different from Ming Yu's. In order to make amends to you, my wife and I both agreed to marry Guan to you, and Guan will definitely give you glory. Guo Xie is tall and has long legs. He stood at the door and had seen the situation in the box clearly. He glanced at Ming Guan, and his eyes fell on Ming Guan again. His black eyes flashed cold scold and mockery. Does she deserve it? Without waiting for the Ming family's father and daughter to say anything, he turned around and left indifferently. Ming Guan and Ming Guan were stunned in place. What does the fourth master mean? She is also worthy of her in his mouth. Who do you mean? Ming Guan or Ming Yu? Ming Guan would never admit that the fourth master was talking about her. But he didn't even enter the box. Why did he leave? Did he divorce Ming Yu? Doesn't he care what Ming Yu does? That's right. Ming Yu, a notorious water-based woman, what else should he care about? Mom and Dad, the fourth master must have said sister. Ming Guan looked into the box. She seemed to hear the sound of tearing clothes. The fourth master divorced his sister and was completely disappointed in her. He didn't want to care about her anymore, so he said that. Ming Guan and Jiang Biyan both nodded. They are as excellent as Guan. They are celebrities who combine beauty and talent in Tancheng. How can the fourth master dislike her? It must be Ming Yu. Thinking of Ming Yu, Ming Guan and Jiang Biyan's faces became ugly. The unbearable sound in the box made them very annoyed. Chapter 37, Shock. I ate a big melon. I'm also a daughter. Ming Guan doesn't know why the gap is so big. Ming Guan has been a good girl since she was a child, their pride. And Ming Yu will only embarrass them. There was anger and irritation in Ming Guan's eyes. When he gets Ming Yu's divorce property, he has to find a way to send her out of the country. If he stays in China, his old face will be lost by her in the future. Xiao Biyin took out his mobile phone and recorded the situation in the box into the video. Guan, hasn't the old lady been protecting her all the time? Let the old lady see what good things her most loved granddaughter has done, and let's see how she still protects her. Ming Guan saw that her parents did not enter the box to save Ming Yu, but watched her being played by these old men and recorded a video, and the corners of her lips evoked a gloating smile. What about the love of the old lady Ming? She will never get the love of her parents. Jiang Biying took her mobile phone and was about to enter the box to record the video more clearly. At this time, several policemen came over. Don't move, sweep, yellow. There was a strange silence in the box. Ming Guan saw the police coming, and her face showed a shocked look. Mom and Dad, how can this be? My sister was taken away. Are you going to be detained? How can my sister do such a thing? Isn't she so short of men because she has no money? As soon as Ming Guan said this, Ming Guan's face became even more ugly. Ming Yu is really rotten to the bone. Mom and Dad, no matter what, my sister is a member of our Ming family, and her reputation represents the reputation of our Ming family. We can't ignore her. Jiang Biying hugged Ming Guan into his arms and didn't want her to see such a dirty scene. Guan, you are so kind-hearted. Jiang Biying looked at Ming Guan. No matter how much our mother protects Ming Yu this time, we must show our attitude. It's best to hold a press conference and break away from Ming Yu. Ming Guan felt that Jiang Biying was reasonable. Ming Yu can no longer be allowed to continue to harm the reputation of the Ming family. The police had arrived at the sofa, and several onlookers were pushed away. The two people on the sofa were pulled up. Director Feng hurriedly fastened his belt and was handcuffed before he could even put on his shirt. And the other person, the moment he raised his head, the Ming family was dumbfounded. Ju, it's not Ming Yu. Especially in Ming Guan, she opened her eyes wide in disbelief. At one time, I thought I had hallucinations. Otherwise, why is that person Xiao Yisheng? There was still a trace of confusion in Xiao Yisheng's eyes. He wanted to break away from the people who subdued him and rushed to Director Feng again, but he was soon handcuffed. Xiao Yisheng and Director Feng were escorted out of the Yonghe Hall. As soon as I went out, countless magnesium lights flashed. A group of reporters rushed out. Last time they received the revelation that Ming Yu and Xiao Yisheng had an affair, they took pictures of Gu Siye and almost lost his rice bowl. This time, they were exposed again that there was big news in the Yonghe Pavilion, and they didn't have any hope. As a result, Xiao Yisheng and Director Feng and his party were photographed. Ha ha ha, this melon is so powerful, so powerful. Xiao Yisheng turned out to be a pear, which can be curved or straight. Xiao Yisheng was hit by the flash, and his chaotic thoughts woke up a little. Seeing that he was handcuffed in untidy clothes and the reporters who kept taking pictures of him, his mind suddenly went blank, and his whole body was about to collapse. Why is it like this? Why isn't it clear? Chapter 38, Gore's sighting came over, in the box. The Ming family has not recovered from the shock. Especially Ming Guan. Obviously, it was designed by Xiao Yisheng. Why was Xiao Yisheng designed instead? If it is Ming Yu who is taken away by the police, she will not only have to hand over the divorce property, but also be kicked out of the Ming family, and there will be no more waves in the future. But why Xiao Yisheng? Mom and Dad, it's my fault. You shouldn't have misunderstood your sister. Jiang Biying hugged Ming Guan and comforted her. It's not your fault. It's Ming Yu's fault that she didn't study well and her reputation was ruined. No wonder you misunderstood. Ming Guan choked. My sister seemed to have misunderstood me. She slapped me last time and misunderstood that I seduced my brother-in-law. Will she know that I am the female lead of Xinchong Jie, and deliberately designed Director Feng and brother Yisheng so that I can't play the female lead? This sentence made Jiang Biying and Ming Guan's faces change. Jiang Biying snorted coldly. She was restless, which made Gore Suye tired of her. How could she say that you seduced Suye? You are beautiful, gentle and talented. Isn't it normal for the fourth master to be attracted to you? In the dark corner at the end of the corridor, there is a slender and tall figure. Ming Yu drooped his eyelids and leaned lazily against the wall. She played with her nails, seemingly careless, but she saw the actions of the Ming family. Xiao Yisheng's little trick, do you still want to design her? Before she came, she had already taken the medicine. Whether it was the Qing medicine or the drug, it had no effect on her. She drank the first glass of wine and let Xiao Yisheng and Director Feng relax their vigilance. When pouring wine for them, she put some medicine she specially made for them in the wine bottle. The special medicine can make them have a hallucination after drinking it. Although Xiao Yisheng's face is not completely better, he put on makeup on his face, which looks no different from a little white face. Director Feng and others had hallucinations and regarded him as a beautiful woman, while Xiao Yisheng regarded Director Feng and others as a strong man. Oh, the reporter was also called by her anonymously. After this time, Xiao Yisheng is afraid that he will lose his reputation and will no longer be able to make waves in the entertainment industry. As for calling the police, this is not what she did. Could it be her registered husband? In fact, he can't get used to Xiao Yisheng's cuckold for a long time, right? Playing that kind of small role, I guess he used to disdain it. In addition, he didn't like Ming Yu, so he didn't rest her adulterer. Ming Yu's thoughts were pulled back by Ming Guan's words. Guan, there is nothing wrong with you. The fourth master was attracted by you, and it was your talent and charm attracted him. Ming Yu should find the reason on herself. In addition, she dares to lose your role as the female first in Qingchengji. Let's see if I don't break her leg. Looking at Ming Guan, who was so angry that he couldn't wait to tear off Ming Yu's bones and skin him, Ming Yu's face showed a trace of sarcasm. In fact, she also suspected that she was not the daughter of Ming Guan. But she looks very much like Ming Guan. At first glance, she looks like her own daughter. Ming Guan, when he was young, he was a famous handsome man in Tancheng. Now he is old and very handsome, but his kidney is weak, and the dark circles under his eyes look a little heavy, and he is not as handsome as when he was young. With such eccentric parents, Ming Yu has also fallen into mold for 8 lifetimes. She is not as good as Ming Guan, is she? One day, she will let them have a look. Ming Guan doesn't deserve to help her carry shoes. Ming Yu walked into the bathroom and took out his mobile phone to take a look. Tyrant Guo hasn't called her yet. Are you going to lose sleep tonight? A little upset and manic, she took out a lady's cigarette and narrowed her beautiful eyes to swallow the clouds and spit out the fog. At the door of the bathroom, 2 tall figures came over. Yanxi and Guo Sighting are here. Chapter 39, he suspects that she is seducing him. Fourth brother, why does the little maid named Guo Forjun in your family cook so much that I can't forget? The new chef of Yoha Hall is not as good as her. Thinking of Guo Forjun, Guo Sighting frowned slightly. When can I go to Yuyin to eat the dishes cooked by your little maid? Guo Sighting, let's talk about it when you are free. Yanxi shrugged his shoulders and looked up. He found a slender figure standing in the corner of the public washstand in the bathroom. Oh my god, you are so beautiful. Ming Yu leaned lazily in the corner of the wall, and a black long hair fell down. In the smoke, the palm-sized melon's little face was bright and beautiful. There is a light-colored tear mole at the corner of the eye, which is inexplicably sexy and seductive. When did there be such a stunning beauty in Tancheng? Yanxi is a famous playboy, and he has seen almost all of the famous beauties on the list of Tancheng. But it's the first time I've seen such a beautiful and bright woman in front of me. What can I say? She didn't wear dazzling clothes or makeup, but in the smoke, she was as beautiful as a person in a painting. Guo Sighting glanced at Ming Yu, and his face suddenly sank. Yanxi had never seen a woman who could smoke a cigarette so beautifully and touchingly. He smiled evilly and was ready to come forward to talk to a woman. But the next second, the back collar was grabbed. He was pulled back by a strong force. Yanxi looked at Guo Sighting with some nameless reasons. Fourth brother, what, are you interested? This is the first time that Yanxi picked up girls in front of Guo Sighting and was stopped by him. Guo Sighting was expressionless and said in a cold voice, you go back to the box first. Yanxi, is the fourth brother really interested in that beauty? The fourth brother's taste has really changed a lot. Now, he is actually interested in such a beautiful woman. Fourth brother, do you want me to tell you the secret of picking up girls? Get out of here. Yanxi Ma, get out of here. Ming Yu naturally saw Guo Sighting. The man was wearing a well-cut suit, and the exquisite and luxurious fabric wrapped his tall and strong body. His hair was meticulously combed, his outline was handsome, and his facial features were profound. The thin lips under the bridge of his nose are squeezed into a straight line, revealing his fierceness and coldness at the moment. Ming Yu watched him approach him step by step, his red lips slightly opened, and he spit out a circle of smoke, sexy and seductive. Honey, did you call the police to arrest Xiao Yisha? When Ming Yu spoke, his eyes were slightly raised, charming and enchanting. Hearing her call her husband, Guo Sighting's eyebrows sank. I don't care whether you have changed yourself or not. In short, come with me to the law firm to sign. Ming Yu tilted his head lazily, and his beautiful eyes were burning. Do he have to leave? The woman's charming voice made Guo Sighting's eyebrows a little darker. He suspected that this shameless woman was seducing him. Don't make a fuss in front of me. I'm not interested in you. The man's face was cold and stiff, and there was no fluctuation in his black eyes. It seems that he really has no interest in her. Ming Yu looked straight at him, and his eyes moved from his angular face to his thin and hard jaw, and then to his sexy bulging throat knot. This man is not a popular handsome man nowadays. He is mature and cold, like a flower in jailing, inviolable. There was a strong smell of male hormones all over her body. When she was close, the breath made her feel refreshed. She suddenly raised her head and approached him. Guo Sighting obviously didn't expect that she would approach him so boldly. He didn't react for a moment, and their bodies instantly became intimate together. Chapter 40, she hugged him from behind, and the orange light refracted from the top of her head and fell on the woman's cold and beautiful little face. The woman tiptoed slightly, her red lips opened slightly, and she spit out a breath of smoke at the man's handsome face. The mint-flavored smell of women's cigarettes is mixed with a faint cold fragrance that belongs to women. Guo Sighting looked at the charming woman, her dark eyes were as deep as a dangerous whirlpool, and her whole body was filled with the cold and thin breath. Are you looking for death? Ming Yu flicked the ash at his fingertips, and his red lips approached the man, only one knuckle away from his thin lips. Honey, does your grandmother agree to our divorce? Why don't I call her? If she agrees, I'll sign it immediately, okay? Her voice was a little aggrieved, but it was as delicate as Wu No's soft words. As she spoke, the clear fragrance seemed to come to the tip of her nose. Guo Sighting's dark eyes sank a little, and his throat rolled unconsciously. There is a kind of woman in the world, like poison wrapped in honey. Knowing that she is not sincere, he can't resist her momentary temptation. Of course, it has nothing to do with love, it's just a temptation. No wonder many men are fascinated by this woman. She makes a fuss, like a demon girl. Thinking that she had used this method to confuse other men, Guo Sighting's dark and narrow eyes exuded a coldness. He clasped the woman's slender wrist and pushed her away. Ming Yu was pushed back by him, and his slender shoulders hit the hard wall. A piercing pain. Mad. This rude and ruthless dog man. No wonder it is rumored that he has broken sleeves. Just like this dog, any woman who likes him will be moldy for 8 lifetimes. Ming Yu rubbed his painful shoulder, and a smile appeared on Ming Yan's little face. Wouldn't it be that you wanted to leave me without Grandma Guo's consent? When Grandma Guo comes back, how will you explain it to her? Guo Sighting has not been loved by his parents since he was a child. In the Guo family, only Mrs. Guo protects him. He is sharp and decisive, cold-blooded and ruthless, but he also has a tender side. He always gives double rewards to those who are good to him. For example, Mu Chungjing, Grandma Guo. If he treats him badly, he will not let him go easily. Of course, Ming Yu, who had cheated on him, not only did not give her any punishment, but also signed the divorce decisively, really because he was not interested in this woman. To put it bluntly, she was worse than passers-by in his heart, and he disdained to use any means of revenge. Guo Sighting frowned and said coldly, if you don't sign it, I won't give you 100 million yuan. Honey, what I want is never 100 million, but you. Guo Sighting turned his face black directly. This woman is really getting bolder and bolder. Why do you still want to kill him secretly? When he dies, she will swallow his whole family property. Ming Yu didn't know that Guo Sighting had made up for the first drama of making money and taking his life. She aimed at Guo Sighting's suit jacket and wanted to get close to him again. At this time, Guo Sighting's mobile phone vibrated. When he took out his mobile phone, he glanced at it clearly. The call from Mrs. Guo Sighting turned his back to answer Mrs. Guo's phone. Ming Yu couldn't hear what the old lady said. Her beautiful eyes turned and suddenly came forward and hugged him from behind Guo Sighting. The moment the woman's slender arms hugged his thin waist, Guo Sighting was stunned. Before she could push her away, the woman's soft voice sounded painful. Her voice was neither loud nor small, delicate, just enough for Mrs. Guo on the other end of the phone to hear. Chapter 41, he was actually flirted with by this damn woman. Guo Sighting turned around and stared at Ming Yu with cold black eyes. June's face was covered with a layer of frost, and he warned her with his eyes. If he knew the fun, let go and stop talking nonsense. As soon as Ming Yu hugged the man, he smelled the fragrant male smell of fur on him. She ignored Guo Sighting's murderous eyes, buried her face in his back, and shamelessly rubbed up. Guo Sighting didn't hold the big palm of his mobile phone, and his knuckles began to rattle. Ming Yu felt the danger. She let go of Guo Sighting, took 2 steps back, and said in a soft voice, Brother Suting, don't be fierce, you've hurt him. Ming Yu deliberately changed his tone, and his voice was so soft that it dripped out of water. Naturally, Mrs. Guo couldn't hear Ming Yu's voice. A Ting, who is talking on the other end of the phone. Are you looking for a woman outside behind your back? Mrs. Guo's voice was anxious and angry. When you get married, you must be responsible for you. Why do you go out to find a woman who doesn't care? Are you going to make Grandma angry? Guo Sighting. Can he say that the good granddaughter-in-law she likes just sobbed? Guo Sighting stared at Ming Yu warningly and signaled her to stop talking nonsense. Grandma, you heard it wrong. Mrs. Guo was about to say something when her delicate voice sounded again. Brother, didn't you say that you didn't like your wife and wanted to divorce her? You hurt others, and you will be responsible. Well, Ming Yu didn't finish his words, and was covered by the man's slender palm and held back. Guo Sighting was so strong that he covered his mouth, and Ming Yu couldn't speak at all. But she was not annoyed either. Looking at the man's dangerous and cold eyes, she stuck out her tongue and licked the man's palm. The warm touch, crisp and numb, through the palm of the hand, directly to Guo Sighting's heart. He was full of excitement. He cursed in a low voice. This woman who owes a beating. A Ting, you also said I heard it wrong. I clearly heard a woman talking. Wait, are you going to divorce Li Yu? Don't leave, do you hear that? If you leave, you won't see your grandma in the future. Ming Yu pulled away Guo Sighting's big palm covering her mouth and took the opportunity to approach him. His thin white fingers poked his chest, stood on tiptoe and attached it to his ear. Brother, you can't count what you say. You said you were responsible for me, what else did the old lady on the other end of the phone said? Guo Sighting didn't seem to hear it. His face was still as cold as frost, but the throat knot rolled uncontrollably. Of course, he understands that this is just a man's physiological reaction. He pressed his thin lips tightly and couldn't control his anger. I don't know if he is angry with this vixen-like woman, or he is more angry with himself. Maybe because he had never had a woman, he was flirted with by the woman he hated the most. Damn it, Guo Sighting hung up the phone directly and strangled Ming Yu's neck. I think you are impatient. There is no harm on Ming Yu's face. I was afraid. I licked the corners of my lips, and there was an enchanting smile on my beautiful face. Even the light-colored tear moles in the corners of my eyes became vivid and charming. Grandma will definitely call me later. If I see you finding another woman outside and want to divorce me, Grandma will be angry with you, right? Guo Sighting bit his back teeth. Clear. Well, I'm not deaf. You don't need to be so loud. Guo Sighting tried his best to restrain his impulse to strangle her, and said with a tense face, if the old lady calls you and you dare to say something nonsense, I will send you on the hot search tomorrow. I have a lot of photos of you hanging out with the adulterer before. Ming Yu. Chapter 42. The little maid borrowed me for a few days. Well, Ming Yu said that she was threatened. Ming Yu did take a lot of intimate photos with Xiao Yusan before. Although he didn't go to bed, he seemed to have held hands, hugged, and kissed his face. If Guo Sighting had found someone to stalk them secretly, he did have evidence of her cheating. She and Guo Sighting have a secret marriage, and the public doesn't know their relationship. If they make it public, it will only cause harm to her. Well, we have to find a way to destroy those evidences. With a turn of his eyes, he had an idea in his mind. I promised you not to talk nonsense in front of Grandma Guo, but don't bother me recently. You always talk about divorce. Guo Sighting sneered coldly. No matter why she suddenly doesn't want to divorce, he will persuade Mrs. Guo as soon as possible to stop intervening in his marriage. This woman can never be whitewashed. If he hadn't been afraid of the old lady being stimulated, he would have shown her the photo of the woman's cheating. Guo Sighting didn't look at Ming Yu again. He turned around and was ready to leave. But as if thinking of something, he took off his suit and threw it into the trash can. Ming Yu saw the suit jacket he had thrown away, and the corners of his lips evoked a narrow smile. She knew that she hugged him. He had a cleanliness fetish and would think she was dirty. He took his suit jacket in his arms and took a breath. She suddenly felt that the grievances she suffered in front of him tonight were worth it, and even the hurt shoulder was nothing. For her, as long as she doesn't have insomnia, everything else is just a small matter. Ming Yu put on the man's coat and happily returned to the suburban courtyard. In the Bentley car, Yan Shi drank at night and couldn't drive. Guo Sighting sent him back. Yan Shi leaned lazily on the back of the chair and looked at the man with one hand holding the steering wheel and the other hand on the car window, with a tight jaw. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Fourth brother. Is that beautiful woman in the bathroom your new love?" Guo Sighting didn't say anything. Yan Shi spoke unscrupulously with a little bit of smoke. Ha, no wonder you want to get a divorce. It turns out that you have a new love, but your taste has become different from before. You didn't like this kind of beautiful woman before. After all, Sister Shi Ying. Guo Sighting stepped on the brake and swept at Yan Shi fiercely with black eyes. Shut up. All those do. Okay, I'll shut up. After a while, Yan Shi couldn't hold back and gossiped. I counted the time. You and that beauty spent a total of 10 minutes in the bathroom. After returning to the box, your face smelled bad. You didn't play well and were not satisfied with your time, did you? After all, 10 minutes, what you say? A gloomy look swept towards Yan Shi. Do you want to go to Africa to engage in construction? Why don't I say something to Uncle Yang? Yan Shi winked at Guo Sighting. Brother sir, don't worry, I will keep this matter a secret for you. After all, it's the first time you touch a woman, and it's understandable for a short time. Yan Shi. Okay, let's not talk about this. By the way, can your little maid lend me a few days? My mother doesn't have a good appetite recently. The food cooked by your little maid is more delicious than that of Michelin-starred chefs. My mother should also like it. Guo Sighting really wanted to kick Yan Shi out of the car directly. Either he arranges him and the unmarried wife, or he misses his little maid. However, he doesn't really want to mention these two women tonight. Sending Yan Shi back to Ye's house, Guo Sighting drove the car and galloped away. Yan Zai's voice floated in through the car window. Fourth brother, the little maid borrowed me for a few days. Think about it. Chapter 43, why didn't he have the capital to seduce the maid? Guo Sighting galloped back to the royal garden. Uncle Zhou and sister-in-law Zhong stood at the door of the villa, stretching their necks and looking out. Seeing Guo Sighting coming back, sister-in-law Zhong still did not withdraw her gaze and still looked outside. It was not until Uncle Zhong reminded sister-in-law Zhong that sister-in-law Zhong looked at Guo Sighting, the fourth master. Sister-in-law is not as enthusiastic as usual. She seems to be hiding something on her mind. Guo Sighting saw that something was wrong with the two loyal servants, and his sword eyebrows frowned slightly. What's wrong? The loyal sister-in-law stopped talking. Uncle Zhou sighed and said, Fourth master, Xiao Xiqiu hasn't eaten anything for a day. He refused to eat the cat food he bought, and he didn't drink water. Guo Sighting's eyebrows sank. Is he sick? I asked the pet doctor to have a look. The doctor said that the little snowball was not sick, but he didn't want to eat it himself. Guo Sighting pressed his cred-colored thin lips tightly. What, a hunter strike? Guo Sighting strode upstairs. Sister-in-law Zhong reminded him that the fourth master, the little snowball, was in Gu Fujian's room. Gu Sighting walked towards Gu Fujian's maid's room with a calm face. Pushing open the door, the little snowball lay on a single bed. The sheets and quilts on the bed are neatly spread, without a trace of wrinkles. The little snowball shrank himself into a ball, and his sapphire-like eyes were dull and dull. In the past, as soon as Gu Sighting came back, the little snowball would meow and rush into his arms. His favorite was his male protagonist. But today Gu Sighting walked to the bedside, and it didn't move. It didn't see him, but heard the footsteps. It just raised its eyelids and looked at him listlessly. Those eyes, as if there was still a grudge. Thinking of the scene where he drove Gu Fujian away in the morning, and the little snowball bit his trouser leg and took him to the balcony to keep Gu Fujian, Gu Sighting realized that his dying appearance was made for Gu Fujian. Gu Sighting sneered in his throat. One hand in your waist, your face is like frost. She has only raised you for a few days, and you only recognize her. He also made a hunger strike and raised an unfamiliar white-eyed wolf. Hearing Gu Sighting's reprimand, Xiao Shiqiu drooped his head, turned around silently, and turned his tail at Gu Sighting. Gu Sighting gritted his teeth, got up, and went to eat with me. There was no movement in the little snowball on the bed. Gu Sighting laughed angrily. If you don't eat, you will be hungry if you don't eat. He turned around and walked out. I don't know when my sister-in-law stood at the door and looked at Gu Sighting, who was not very good-looking. She hesitated for a moment, but still said, about the fourth master, Gu Fujian, Shen Li, who was on duty at the door, told me that I can guarantee that Gu Fujian is by no means the kind of person who wants to take the opportunity to seduce the fourth master. Gu Sighting. Why, he doesn't have the capital to seduce the maid. As if realizing that Gu Sighting had misunderstood her meaning, the loyal sister-in-law waved her hand quickly. It was not that the fourth master was not attractive, but that Gu Fujian was simple and kind, good to everyone and helpful. She came to work as a tidying and storage master, but she also had several jobs, helping to cook, do laundry, and tidy up the garden. A few days ago, I had a backache, and she also helped me massage. Don't talk about it. She is very good at it. If I am pressed like that by her, my waist won't hurt. She has only come to Yuying to work for a few days, and Xiao Shiqiu has developed a deep relationship with her. You can imagine how good she is to Xiao Shiqiu at ordinary times. As you know, Xiao Shiqiu is as bad-tempered and arrogant as you are. Bah, I didn't mean to say that about you. In short, Gu Fujian is really a competent and responsible servant. The most important thing is that I heard that she has someone she likes, and it is impossible for her to seduce you. After sister-in-law Zhong finished speaking, the little snowball on the bed wagged its tail and meowed, as if to tell Gu Sighting that sister-in-law Zhong was right. Chapter 44, The Fourth Master came to pick her up in person. After Shen Li explained to him what happened last night in the morning, Gu Sighting realized that he had misunderstood the little maid. It's just that in his concept, even if he misunderstands a little maid, there is no need for him to apologize in person or waste his energy on her. But now, his cat, his loyal servant, is talking about the good of the little maid. Gu Sighting thought of the table of delicious food she cooked and took care of him almost all night. He realized that he seemed to be a little too much. Thinking of her angry, tolerant and uncomfortable and aggrieved look when she was yelled at by him and left, his temples stinged a little. I became a little irritable inexplicably. Raise your slender white fingers and press your temples. You call her and ask her to come back and continue to work. This is already his biggest concession. You can't let him apologize to her in person, can he? She doesn't have that big a face. Seeing that Gu Sighting was relieved, the loyal sister-in-law smiled and quickly took out her mobile phone to call Gu Fujian. Ming Yu has fallen asleep. At night, she has Gu Sighting's suit jacket, so she doesn't have to worry about insomnia. When she was sleeping in a daze, her mobile phone suddenly rang. Her eyelids were heavy, and she didn't even open her eyes. She touched her mobile phone and said manically, "Hello, who is it?" The loyal sister-in-law on the other end of the phone was stupid. Huh. Why is it not Gu Fujian's voice on the other end of the phone? This voice sounds a little arrogant, a little crazy and a little impatient, which is completely different from Gu Fujian's weak, kind, timid and innocent voice. Is it Fujian? Hearing the voice of the loyal sister-in-law, Mingxi on the other end of the phone suddenly became sleepless. What? Did sister-in-law Zhong call her? Ming Yu quickly opened his eyes and looked at the mobile phone in his hand. She was holding the mobile phone. She was a servant in Yuyang. The sleepiness in Ming Yu's mind suddenly disappeared. She took a deep breath and converted her voice to Gu Fujian's loyal sister-in-law. I just had something to do, and someone answered the phone for me. I see. No wonder she doesn't sound like Gu Fujian's voice. Fujian, I have good news for you. The fourth master asked you to come back to work. Ming Yu rolled his eyes. The dog man finally knew that he misunderstood her. However, she is very sleepy now and doesn't plan to go there immediately. Okay, sister-in-law, I got it. Seeing that Gu Fujian was not very happy in her words, the loyal sister-in-law felt even more sorry for her. Sister-in-law Zheng knows how scary it is for the fourth master to lose his temper. Presumably, the fourth master misunderstood that she took the initiative to climb onto his bed in the morning, which really hurt her. Fujin, come back now. I'll ask Uncle Zhong to pick you up. Without waiting for Mingyu to say anything, sister-in-law Zhong hung up the phone. Guo Sighting stood behind his sister-in-law and heard that she asked Uncle Zhong to pick up Guo Fujin. He didn't say anything. When he was about to go back to his room, the little snowball suddenly came out and bit his trouser leg. The little snowball pulled him and walked towards the car. Guo Sighting grabbed the ear of the little snowball and picked it up. Do you want me to pick up Guo Fujin? The little snowball's glazed blue eyes looked at Guo Sighting and meowed pitifully. It seems to be saying, Boba, hurry up and pick me up. It's hard for Guo Sighting to say anything after seeing Xiao Shiqiu's pitiful eyes. Mingyu looked at the hung-up phone and was stunned for a few seconds. She was about to call sister-in-law Zhong when she received a message from sister-in-law Zhong. Fujin, the fourth master will pick you up in person. Mingyu. I'm going. In her resume, Guo Fujin is an orphan and lives in a dilapidated tube building. Are they going to the Tongzu building to pick her up? But now, she is still in a small foreign-style building in the suburbs. Chapter 45, at the moment when the four eyes were facing each other, Mingyu's scalp suddenly became numb, and Mingyu whispered a curse. Don't dare to waste time. Get up and change clothes and put on makeup. I just hope that she can arrive at the Tongzu building in advance, otherwise it will be difficult to get there. I carried my bag and hurried out of the house. I took a taxi to let the driver go to the tube building in the city. The driver drove cautiously at night, and the speed could not be raised. Mingyu frowned. Master, I'll drive for you, and I'll give you double the bus fare later. The driver looked ordinary and dressed in plain clothes. Can you drive? Mingyu hummed, guaranteeing that there would be no accident. The driver gave up the driver's seat to Mingyu half-heartedly. He sat in the co-pilot. As soon as he fastened his seat belt, the car swissed and galloped away. Changing gears, booming the accelerator, stepping on the brakes, and hitting the steering wheel, an ordinary car is no different from a sports car in Mingyu's hands. There is a mountain road from the suburbs to the city, which is narrow and dangerous, but Mingyu did not slow down at all and shuttled through the mountains like a dragon. The driver held the armrest in his hand, and his face turned pale. Girl, you drive too fast. It's very dangerous. Mingyu didn't panic at all, and there was calmness and silence between his eyebrows. Master, for me, this is slow. Driver. It's almost flying. Is it slow? I didn't expect this girl to be so wild, which really doesn't match her appearance. The car soon drove to the city and got on the viaduct. The speed not only did not slow down, but also accelerated a lot. Although it is already night, there is still a lot of traffic. Taxis shuttle freely through the traffic. Every time the driver thought she would hit the car in front or next to her, she could always avoid it quickly and in time. The driver looked at the girl driving in a daze. The window was half open, and the wind outside blew in. Her long hair was flying. Obviously, she had an ordinary face, but she also had a unique charm. Arrogant and quiet, arrogant and lazy, like a female official on the battlefield. The car is her soldier. Under her command, it is invincible. Originally, it took more than 40 minutes from the suburbs to the city, but this girl drove here in 20 minutes. You can imagine how fast her car is. The wind gallops, gives full play to the function of the car, and lets the driver experience what it feels like to run out of a racing car. There is a long corridor in front of the tube building, and cars can't drive in. After stopping the car, he scanned the code to transfer the bill to the driver. Master, thank you very much. Mingyu got out of the car in a hurry. Looking at the girl who ran quickly to the tube building, the driver sighed, what a woman like the wind. He lowered his head and looked at the collection record, and he was dumbfounded. She only needs to pay 200 at most, but she transferred 2,000 to him. Did she press a more zero? Looking at her plain clothes, she doesn't look like she's very rich. It must be the wrong transfer. The driver quickly took his mobile phone and chased Mingyu in the alley. When she arrived in front of the tube building she rented, Mingyu took out the mirror and tidied up herself. Take a deep breath and be about to go upstairs when a low and cold voice sounded in the silent and dark night, Guo Fujin. The man came out of the night, and the moment his eyes looked at each other, Mingyu's scalp suddenly became numb. She calculated the time. It took at least 20 minutes from Yuye to here. How did he arrive early? Before Mingyu could react, a snow-white meatball in the man's arms rushed towards her. When he jumped into Mingyu's arms, Mingyu was pressed and his hands trembled. Meow meow to Mingyu patted the top of the little snowball's head, and the corners of his lips made him smile. You have to lose weight. Meow 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 to Mama, I'm on a one-day hunger strike today, and I've lost 2 taels of weight, so I don't need to lose weight. Chapter 46, The Guilt of the Arrogant Fourth Master. The loyal uncle and sister-in-law went to the Tongzi building to call Mingyu. After knocking on the door for a long time, no one answered. After calling Guo Sighting, he knew that Mingyu was downstairs. Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law hurried downstairs. Seeing Mingyu, sister-in-law Zhong came forward and hugged her. Fujin, it's so late. Where have you been? Sister-in-law Zhong looked at Mingyu worriedly. Mingyu didn't know why Guo Tyrant suddenly came here to pick her up. He was reserved, cold and arrogant, and full of the breath of the upper ruler. He was strong and fierce, which was out of place with such a dilapidated place. Ming Yu guessed that Ghoul Tyrant must have felt a little guilty when he learned that he had wronged her. Well, she should make good use of this little guilt. Ming Yu pretended not to dare to look at Ghoul Sighting, drooped his long eyelashes, and bit his lips with his teeth. After a long sound, he trembled and said, I'm going to find a job. Ghoul Forjan's resume says that she has suffered a lot from snacks and is eager to live a good life with her own efforts. It's so late that she is still looking for a job outside, which is enough to prove her efforts. Sister-in-law Zhong feels sorry for Ghoul Forjan. At her age, many girls are still in college. But she has to run for life. It was hard to interview for the job in Yuyo, but he was misunderstood by the fourth master to climb his bed. What a heavy blow this is for a simple and kind girl. The more sister-in-law Zhong thought about it, the more she felt sorry for Ghoul Forjan, so she was more angry with Ghoul Sighting. She was bold and stared at Ghoul Sighting. Ghoul Sighting, who was stared at by his sister-in-law. Uncle Zhong followed Ghoul Sighting for a long time, and respected and defended him even when he was not favored. But now, sister-in-law Zhong actually stares at him for a little maid. Ghoul Sighting looked at the little maid with dark eyes. As soon as the little maid touched his eyes, she shrank her shoulders. It's like some kind of flood beast. When she left in the morning, Ghoul Sighting's aggrieved and tolerant eyes appeared in her mind, and her temples began to hurt again. He frowned and whispered that he would go back to work and get a double salary. Ming Yu. That cold-faced look, as if she was very rare for his double salary. Seeing that Ming Yu was still standing still timid and weak, Ghoul Sighting coughed softly, and a trace of unnaturalness appeared on June's face. I wronged you about what happened in the morning. He was very arrogant. He knew he was wrong, but he didn't apologize in person. But if he can come to pick her up in person and say this, he knows that this is his biggest concession. If she continues to be delicate, it is likely that she will really lose this job. Thank you, fourth master. If you let me go east in the future, I will never go west. Ghoul Sighting. You don't have to. You are not a little maid who sells herself. You don't have to be so humble. After pretending to go upstairs to pack his luggage, several people walked out of the alley. After walking a few steps, I saw the driver chasing me out of breath. The driver looked at Ming Yu with a happy face. Girl, I finally found you. It only costs 200 yen to go from the suburbs to the city. You transferred 2,000 yen to me, and I will refund the extra money to you. Ming Yu looked at the driver who was inadvertently chasing him and tried to stop him from saying those words, but it was too late. What's more, she just paid him 2,000 yen. She drove all the way over. The driver was so scared that his face turned pale. The car may still be worn out. Shouldn't he give him 2,000 yen? You are going to chase me for Mao. She is a simple and poor woman who constantly strives to live a good life. She is not a little rich woman who spends a lot of money in a taxi. Chapter 47, she quietly glanced at Ghoul Tyrant. After the driver finished speaking, he found that there were several other people around Ming Yu. Ming Yu also held a noble and beautiful cat in his arms. He muttered in his heart, "Is this girl short of money or not?" The cat in her arms and the man a few steps in front of her came out of a rich family. Before the driver spoke again, Ming Yu said first, "I'm sorry, I did make a mistake." She took out her mobile phone and scanned the code to ask the driver to return the money to her. In order not to expose her personality, she could only follow the driver's words. After scanning the code with Ming Yu, the driver said solemnly, "Girl, don't go near Wangzhou Mountain next night. I passed by there tonight before you got a taxi. It's hard to get a taxi there at night." Ming Yu. "Master, can you talk less?" "Okay, I'll pay attention next time." Ming Yu yinked at the driver and signaled him to leave quickly. The driver didn't know why, but he was still in a hurry to run the order. He didn't say anything more and left quickly. After the driver left, the atmosphere in the air changed subtly. Ghoul Sighting looked at Ming Yu, and his dark eyes were deep, as if he wanted to see through her soul. Ming Yu's scalp tingled when he saw it. "Fourth master, do you have any questions?" Her voice trembled, as if she was afraid of him to the extreme. Ghoul Sighting walked to her and took the little snowball out of her arms. The little snowball meowed a few times in protest, but Ghoul Sighting ignored it and pressed its head into his arms. Ghoul Sighting stared at Ming Yu. Even if he didn't say a word, the sense of majesty and oppression on his body could make people shiver. "Aren't you looking for a job? Found the suburbs?" The man's eyes were really sharp, as if he had seen through her mind. Ming Yu has never been so shy in front of anyone. It is worthy of Ghoul Tyrant, which makes her feel nervous and panic that she will be sentenced at any time. There are many mistakes in what he said. After a deep breath, his voice trembled and said, "In fact, I lied." As soon as Ming Yu said something, the temperature in the air was a little colder. Uncle Zhong and sister-in-law Zhang both looked at Ming Yu in surprise. Ming Yu's voice choked slightly. "I was fired in the morning. At that time, I felt very uncomfortable. I was a human being, but somehow I became a little maid who crawled on the bed. I was timid. I was afraid that this matter would spread out and I would never find a job in the future. I couldn't think of it for a moment, so I went to Wangzhou Mountain. The small courtyard rented by Ming Yu is not far from Wangzhou Mountain, which is sparsely populated. She wants to be clean and doesn't want others to know her residence. Wanzhong Mountain used to be a famous scenic spot in Tancheng, and many people in the city would climb the mountain on weekends. However, since the first suicide jumped off the cliff in Wanzhong Mountain 5 years ago, there have been a series of accidents in the past few years. People who want to commit suicide choose to end themselves here. Over time, there has been a bad legend here. Even during the day, few people climb mountains again, let alone at night. The owner of the small courtyard rented by Mingyu was afraid that he rented the house at a low price. Nowadays, whenever someone mentions going to Wanzhong Mountain, the first thing that comes to mind is suicide. When sister-in-law Zhong heard Mingyu's words, she was stunned at first, and then came forward and hugged her tightly. Fortune, you must not think of doing stupid things. Nothing is as important as life. If you really have 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, do you want to make your sister-in-law cry to death? After being held in the arms of his loyal sister-in-law, Mingyu quietly looked at Guo Sighting. Seeing him frowning at himself, his long eyelashes trembled immediately. Chapter 48, her head leaned on his shoulder, and Mingyu looked very afraid of Guo Sighting. I didn't think about it for a moment. I went to the extreme. Sister-in-law, don't worry, I won't think about it again in the future. I don't know what the loyal sister-in-law came to her mind, and she dared to stare at Guo Sighting again. Fourth master, if you hadn't wronged Fujin, she wouldn't have jumped off the cliff to commit suicide. Guo Sighting's sword eyebrows are about to throw into a ball. Maybe he has never seen a maid who wants to commit suicide after saying a few words. His jaw was tight. After staring at Mingyu for a few seconds, he said 2 words in a hoarse voice, sorry. Ha ha ha. Mingyu laughed wildly in his heart. The high-ranking Guo tyrant actually apologized to her little maid. Damn, I guess he felt a little more guilty when he heard that she almost jumped off the cliff to commit suicide. I didn't expect Tyrant Guo to be so deceitful. Mingyu lowered his head and endured the laughter that was about to overflow. He didn't blame the 4th master. It was because I was not strong enough in my heart. In the future, I would definitely do my best in Yu Yang. Look, how sensible and understanding she is. Not only do you not blame the person who wronged her, but also do your best to do things for him. Where can I find such a little maid? Finally, the lie was overturned, and Guo Tyrant unexpectedly gained a deeper sense of guilt. Tonight is a good night. Walking out of the alley, several people got into a Bentley car. Uncle Zhong drives, sister-in-law Zhong is the co-pilot, and Mingyu can only sit in the back row with Guo Tyrant. After getting on the car, Mingyu was right next to the car door, afraid that he would offend him. Guo Sighting looked at her small movements, and he frowned. Is he that terrible? Take a car, I'm afraid it will be like that. Guo Sighting let go of the little snowball in his arms and was released by the male host. The little snowball jumped into the arms of the hostess at the first time. Guo Sighting. What an unfamiliar white-eyed wolf. The car drove slowly towards the Imperial Garden. On the way, sister-in-law Jun said a few words to Mingyu from time to time. But because of Guo Sighting's he just talked casually. The little snowball nested in Mingyu's arms and fell asleep. Mingyu leaned on the back of the chair, and between his breaths, the smell of fur faintly floated from the man. Sleepiness slowly surged up. Guo Sighting heard the even and light breathing of a person and a cat, and he looked sideways. The woman leaned on the back of the chair, her side face was thin, her lips were slightly pursed, and she slept quite sweetly. Guo Sighting was about to withdraw his sight when the car suddenly braked. Seeing that the woman's head was about to hit the window of the car, Guo Sighting quickly sat over, stretched out his hand, and held her in time. The woman didn't wake up because of such a big noise. The little snowball in her arms opened her blue eyes and glanced at him. When she saw him, she fell asleep quickly. The 4th master was embarrassed. Suddenly, someone ran a red light. Sister-in-law Zhong and Uncle Zhong looked back at the back row. Seeing Guo Sighting holding Mingyu's head, the two were stunned at first, and then a smile appeared in their eyes. After following the 4th master for many years, they have always known that he is a cold-hearted person. After the car drove smoothly, Guo Sighting withdrew his hand, but the next second, his shoulders were heavy. The woman's head leaned on his shoulder. Zhongbo, who was driving, was shocked when he saw Mingyu leaning his head on Guo Sighting's shoulder and stepped on the brake involuntarily. Seeing that Mingyu was about to fall, Guo Sighting clasped her wrist and helped her up. It's just that the moment he held her wrist, a strange feeling flashed through his heart. The wrists of this little maid are thin and soft, as if they are boneless. The feeling of holding her is inexplicably a little familiar, as if it had been held somewhere before. Chapter 49, having compassion for her, Guo Sighting quickly remembered. In the bathroom of the Yoha Hall at night, the woman took the initiative to lean on him. He clasped her wrist and threw her away. Why is the wrist of the little maid in front of me so slender and soft that is so similar to that woman? Is it his illusion? The loyal sister-in-law in front of her coughed when she saw Guo Sighting holding Mingyu's wrist. 4th master, the car is driving smoothly. Guo Sighting quickly let go of Mingyu's wrist and pushed her away. Damn it, this little maid actually made him feel compassion. It must be that she almost jumped off the cliff to commit suicide, and she felt guilty in her heart. After that, Guo Sighting didn't look at Mingyu again. His angular outline was tight, handsome and cold, and he didn't approach strangers. After arriving at the Imperial Garden, Guo Sighting directly pushed the door and got out of the car. Ming Yu was awakened by his loyal sister-in-law. She rubbed her eyes and got out of the car with the little snowball in her arms. "Fu Zhen, go back to your room early and rest. See you tomorrow." Ming Yu nodded to his loyal sister-in-law, put the little snowball on the bed, and Ming Yu sat in front of the cabinet to remove makeup. When the little snowball saw her showing her original beautiful and bright face, she meowed and wagged its tail violently. It seems to be saying, "Womama is the most beautiful in the world." Ming Yu took out a small snack from his bag and rewarded a small snowball. After the little snowball finished eating, he lay on the bed obediently and waited for Ming Yu. After taking a shower, Ming Yu took out Guo Sighting's coat from his bag and lay on the bed to sleep. The little snowball nestled into Ming Yu's arms and meowed. "Mama, can't you sleep soundly with me in your arms?" Ming Yu carried the little snowball behind her, patted its head, calmed down and went to sleep. The little snowball meowed aggrievedly. But Mama spoke, and she didn't dare to compete with the male protagonist's coat anymore. Mama cares so much about Baba and can't live without his coat when she sleeps every day. The next day, Ming Yu was woken up by a ringtone of his mobile phone. When she opened her eyes, she saw the white fish belly in the sky. Thinking that she was now the role of a little maid, she quickly got out of bed. The mobile phone is still ringing. I took out my mobile phone and took a look. A person who noted Xiao Zhong called. Xiao Zhong's name is Zhongling, and he is the little assistant of Ming Yu, an 18-line artist. As soon as the phone was connected, Zhongling's voice came in a hurry. "Sister Li, your phone was finally connected. Something big has happened. You are on the hot search. Mr. Jiang got angry and asked you to get to the company quickly." The Ming family made a fortune in real estate and later opened an entertainment company. Jiang Biyin personally managed it. The scale was not large, and there were more than 10 artists under it. Since Ming Guan returned to China and entered the entertainment industry, all the resources have been concentrated on her. Ming Yu wanted to enter the entertainment industry at the beginning, but Mrs. Ming found Jiang Biyin, and Jiang Biyin reluctantly let her enter the company. She is the same agent as Ming Guan, but the agent only cares about Ming Guan, and the people who connect with Ming Yu are all ugly people, or women. Ming Yu just woke up, and his voice was still lazy and hoarse. "What's wrong? You are on the hot search, and now almost the whole network is scolding you." Ming Yu hummed, "I'll take a look first." Ming Yu's unhurried tone made Zhongling stunned. This seems to be a little different from the grumpy sister who used to be irritable when she encountered something. Ming Yu hung up the phone, sat cross-legged on the bed, and clicked on Weibo. Originally, she only had a few thousand followers. As soon as it became a hot search, her fans rose steadily. But almost all of them scolded her. Chapter 50, he told her, "I got married, and the source of scolding her was that someone exposed several photos in the middle of the night. The photo is secretly taken at first glance, and the angle is very good." She stood between Xiao Yixin and Director Feng, toasting them with a smile. In another photo, she poured wine for Director Feng and the others. When she bent down, she was very close to Director Feng, as if she was whispering intimately to Director Feng. In addition to the photos, Xiao Yixin's brokerage company, Director Feng, Deputy Director Li, Production Chiang and other companies jointly issued statements. Claim that they were revealed together. Design, she moved her hands and feet in the wine, which led to Xiao Yixin and Director Feng having that kind of relationship and was taken away by the police. Xiao Yixin is a little fresh meat. Although he is not at the top, he has a lot of brain-damaged fans. Last night, it was revealed that he had that kind of relationship with a well-known director in the circle, and was arrested by the police on the spot. Many fans became unfollowed. But there are still many brain-damaged fans who leave messages to believe in my brother and support him to find out the truth. Xiao Yixin's reputation was ruined, and too many interests were involved. Director Feng and others are in the capital circle, and there is capital behind them. So as soon as the photo and the statement of each brokerage company came out, Ming Yu was sprayed into a sieve. According to the revelation, the little star of the 18th line wanted to have Xiao Yixin's side. Xiao Yixin didn't like her, so she used the last 3 bad tricks. I knew that my brother was wronged, and he had always been a clear stream in the circle. Ming Yu wants to be popular too much, right? How dare you design our brother and Director Feng? It's simply despicable and shameless. This kind of low force, it's better to get out of the entertainment industry as soon as possible. Ask for the 18-line little star Ming Yu online, and I want to vomit when I look at her face. Kneel down and apologize to your brother, otherwise, get out of country C. Looking at this group of Xiao Yixin's brain-damaged fans, Ming Yu couldn't help laughing. They regard themselves as the president of country C and let her go out of the country. It's ridiculous to the extreme. In addition to the scolding of brain-damaged fans, there are also some sailors pushing the tide. Ming Yu took out his laptop and operated it to find out the source of the navy. "Oh, if you want to kill her, it depends on whether they have the ability." Ming Yu sent a message to Zhongling, telling her that she would arrive at the company later. Get up, wash and put on makeup, and frown and worry. Wouldn't it be bad to ask for leave on the first day of work? Ming Yu went to the villa first to make breakfast. As soon as it was done, the man came down from upstairs. Looking at the rich and nutritious breakfast, Guo Sighting glanced at Ming Yu. Ming Yu immediately lowered his head, looking like he didn't dare to look at him. Guo Sighting. Is he a flood beast? I don't know whether the fourth master likes Chinese or Western, so I made both flavors. Guo Sighting pursed his thin lips, and it was all good. Okay, I will do it in different ways in the future to ensure that the fourth master will not get tired of it. After grabbing the tyrant's stomach, even if he finds out her purpose in the future, he will not easily drive her away, will he? Guo Sighting, you are an organizer. Ming Yu smiled at Guo Sighting. The fourth master now gives me double salary, and I can work as a part-time cook. Cao Nian, cherish it. Where can I find such a hardworking and considerate little maid? Guo Sighting frowned and had to doubt the purpose of the little maid being so attentive. After breakfast, he walked out of the restaurant, and Ming Yu quickly handed the briefcase to him. Bending slightly, the fourth master walked slowly. Guo Sighting took a few steps out, stopped again, and looked back at Ming Yu. Guo Fortune, I'm married. Ming Yu. What does he mean? It's useless to please me. Just do your job well in the future. Ming Yu. Did he misunderstand something?